Chapter 329. Luli and the other two were actually quite lucky. If they were not in the territory of the Li family, they would have been intercepted and killed without knowing why. Now, the three of them also felt like they were at a dead end. According to the two scouts, as long as they left the Li clan's territory, the Song clan would immediately take action. Patriarch 4, who was at the peak of the Noble Lord realm, was in charge of this in person. He mobilized 6 Noble Lord realm warriors who could teleport to track them at any time. Therefore, it didn't matter if Luli went to the east of the Central Plains, or back to the north of the Central Plains. Once they left the territory of the Li family, the result would be the same. The Noble Lord realm warriors of the Song family would teleport over at once and kill them in the city. There was 1 warrior at the peak of the Noble Lord realm and 6 warriors at the Noble Lord realm. Yu Huashan and Mingyu were not immortals. There was no way out? Luli thought about it and found that there was only one way to go, which was to announce his identity as a disciple of the Lu family. In this way, the Song family might not dare to attack him. But what if Lu Renhuang's enemies came? That would probably result in an even more miserable death. Luli sat under the tree in deep thoughts. Mingyu and Yu Huashan continued to interrogate him for more information while they tried to figure out a way. A moment later, Mingyu suddenly walked over and said, "Young master, if we teleport east, we will enter the Han family's territory. Do you think the Han family can be trusted?" Han family? Luli was familiar with this name. He asked in confusion, "What Han family? Does it have anything to do with us?" Mingyu was a little speechless as he said, "Han Yu, we saved the Han clan's people in the heavenly ghost rat." Oh, Luli remembered the 13 or 14-year-old girl. He asked in confusion, "Is the Han family powerful?" They are also a 6th-rank family. Their headquarters are in the Mystic Fire region. The 10 nearby regions are all under their control, Mingyu explained. The Han family is so powerful? Luli was surprised. Then he shook his head and said, "That Lady Han Yu only has several warriors of the Eternal Realm to protect her. I don't think she has a high status in the Han family." As for Mingyu, he didn't know. Moreover, who knew if the Han family would bite the hand that fed them? What if the Han family also tried to snatch Little White? Han Yu and the others had seen how powerful Whitey was. Yu Huashan walked over. He heard their conversation. He thought for a while and said, "Let's go back to the city and find out about Lady Han Yu's status in the Han family. If she is an important lady of the Han family, we can ask the Han family to send someone to escort us to the Mystic Armor region." Luli and Yu Huashan thought it made sense. The 3 of them ran into the city. As for the 2 scouts, they were killed by Yu Huashan in one move. Yu Huashan was a ruthless man who killed without blinking an eye. How could he leave behind 2 future troubles? Inside the city, Luli and Mingyu went to the tavern while Yu Huashan went out to gather information by himself. An hour later, he returned and said excitedly, "Ha ha ha, young master, the young lady Han Yu that you saved casually is actually an important person in the Han clan." How is this possible? Luli and Mingyu were stunned. If she was an important lady, why were there only a few warriors of the Eternal Realm to protect her? Yu Huashan explained, "That Lady Han Yue is an illegitimate daughter. The other 2 young masters are her cousins. More than a decade ago, Han Wuxin, the young family patriarch of the Han family, met a beautiful lady when he was traveling at the northern Central Plains. They left after a night of romance. However, the lady got pregnant and gave birth to Lady Han Yu. The lady didn't know that Han Wuxin was the young family patriarch. She raised Han Yu by herself. Not long ago, she learned about Han Wuxin's identity by chance and asked someone to contact Han Wuxin. Han Wuxin sent someone to pick Han Yu up after he learned that she was his daughter. Because she was an illegitimate daughter, Han Wuxin didn't dare to make it public. He only sent several warriors of the Eternal Realm to pick her up. After all, she would be safe on the ship of the Chamber of Commerce of Delicacy. You know what happened next? Illegitimate daughter. Luli frowned and asked with confusion, if she is an illegitimate daughter, then Han Wuxin wouldn't make it public. How did you get the information? Ha ha ha. Yu Huashan laughed and explained, now you can go out and find out about this. This matter has been spread across the entire northern central plains and the northeast. Because Han Yu's mother didn't awaken her bloodline. When she got back to the Han family, she was sent to the temple. Can you guess what rank of bloodline Han Yu has awakened? Luli and Ming Yu looked at each other and Luli asked, 7th rank bloodline? 7th rank. Yu Huashan exclaimed, in the history of the Han family, there have only been 2 8th rank bloodlines. I didn't expect that Han Yu would be so lucky. Young master, you are so lucky. Lady Han Yu is the treasure of the Han family now. We will be honored guests when we go to the Mystic Fire region. But Luli and Ming Yu looked at each other. If Yu Huashan didn't tell them, they wouldn't believe it. 8th rank bloodline. It was rare even for a 7th rank family. How could Han Yu run into one? Both of them remembered that young girl. They couldn't relate her to a peerless genius of the 8th rank bloodline. Let's go. Since there was such a good thing, and they had nowhere else to go, they had to try their luck. Han Yu was the treasure of the Han family. As the saviors of Han Yu, theoretically speaking, the Han family wouldn't do anything to them. Otherwise, the reputation of the Han family would be ruined. The 3 of them changed their clothes and put on the golem mask. Luli put on a brocade robe and transformed into an elegant young master. The 3 of them walked out of the tavern quickly and teleported to the region city directly. To go to the Mystic Fire region, they had to go to the region city. As soon as they arrived at the region city, Luli, Ming Yu and Ming Yu saw scouts of the Song family outside. There must be scouts of the Song family in all the nearby cities to keep an eye on the 3 of them. Let's go to the Mystic Fire city. Luli, Ming Yu and Yu Huashan went into the teleportation formation. Yu Huashan paid the Xian crystals and the teleportation formation lit up. The 3 of them disappeared. Several scouts on the plaza rushed to the distance and sent back the whereabouts of Luli, Ming Yu and Luli. As a matter of fact, it was easy to recognize them no matter how they disguised themselves. After all, if Yu Huashan and Ming Yu weren't wearing masks, they could tell their realms easily. Also, Luli was at the initial stage of the Soul Pond realm. The teleportation formation at the Mystic Fire City was glowing. This was the territory of the Han family. Even though the Song family had sent scouts here, there were no warriors of the Noble Lord realm here. They wouldn't dare to do anything in the city, which would upset the Han family. As soon as Luli, Ming Yu and Ming Yu came out, they looked around nervously. They were relieved to make sure that there were no warriors of the Noble Lord realm here. Luli walked out with the other 2 warriors. He looked at a commander at the peak of the Eternal Realm outside the teleportation formation and said, I am Luli. I once saved Lady Han Yu's life. Lady Han Yu invited us here with great hospitality. We happen to be passing by, so we want to pay her a visit. Please let her know. Luli's voice was loud, so many people on the plaza heard it. He did it on purpose. He wanted everyone to know that he was Han Yu's savior. If the Han family wanted to do something to him, they must think twice. Chapter 330. The Han family attached great importance to Luli. Luli had made it clear. If the Han family didn't show their respect, they would be disrespectful. What happened to Han Yu had been a hot topic. Han Yu was the treasure of the Han family. Now that her savior was here, how could the Han family not take it seriously? Han Wuxin came out with Han Yu in person to welcome Luli and the other 2. Han Wuxin seemed to be only about 40 years old, at the initial stage of the Noble Lord realm. He was handsome and elegant. No wonder he left Han Yu's mother after that one night. Han Yu looked at Luli. She bowed and said shyly, Greetings, young Master Lu, my lords. 8th rank bloodline. Lu Li and the other two were surprised to see a black mark on Han Yu's neck. Ha ha ha, Han Wuxin laughed. He cupped his fists and said, I heard from Xiao Yu that you saved us. I have been sending people to look for you. I didn't expect that you would come to the Mystic Fire City. You must stay at the Mystic Fire City for some time. I will reward you well. Han Wuxin took Lu Li's hand and walked in. The 3 scouts of the Song family felt their hearts were weighed down. Lu Li had found the Han family to back him up? If the Song family wanted to do something to Lu Li, they would have to consider the Han family. But this was not something the scouts could decide. The 3 of them left quietly and sent the information back to the Song family for the big shots to decide. The Han family was very gracious. Not only Han Wuxin, but 7 or 8 patriarchs of the Han family also attended the banquet. But the grandpa of Han Yu, the family patriarch of the Han family, didn't come. Lu Li didn't reveal his identity, so it was normal that the family patriarch of the Han family didn't come. At the banquet, many people toasted to Lu Li. Lu Li was quite drunk. Han Wuxin asked about Lu Li's identity intentionally or unintentionally. Luckily, Ming Yu and Yu Huashan were not drunk, so they helped Lu Li dodge the question. The Han family was a tyrant at the northeast central plains, a bit weaker than the Song family. But with Han Yu's 8th rank bloodline, the Han family could rise in dozens of years. They might even become a 7th rank family. Lu Li was sent back to his guest room. As soon as he woke up, the banquet began again. Lu Li was troubled, but he couldn't say no. They were here to take advantage of the Han family. In the following period of time, Lu Li was even more troubled. The Han family would hold several banquets a day, and Lu Li would get drunk at every meal. He would drink when he woke up, sleep when he was drunk, and drink again when he woke up. On the 4th day, Lu Li could no longer sit still. Han Wuxin came to invite Lu Li in person to have some fun in a tavern in the city. Lu Li turned him down directly. He shook his head and said, I can't drink anymore. I really can't. You don't want to drink. Han Wuxin thought about it and said, How about the auction? There's going to be an auction in Green Water City tonight. It's the biggest one in 3 years. Why don't we go and have some fun? Young Master Lu, feel free to bid for any treasure below 2 billion. Just take it as a token of appreciation from the Han clan. Lu Li had seen the map, so he had some understanding of the power structure of the northern central plains. The Green Water City was the main city of the Pavilion of Green Water, a 7th rank force. The Han family was affiliated to the Pavilion of Green Water. Han Wuxin's meaning was clear. Lu Li saved Han Yu and the Han family wanted to return the favor. They were going to give Lu Li 2 billion Xian crystals. It was not a good idea to just give Lu Li the Xian crystals. If Lu Li auctioned the treasures, the Han family would appear to be generous. 2 billion? Lu Li nodded to himself. The Han family really valued Han Yu. It was nice of them to give him 2 billion Xian crystals. Lord Wuxin, you are welcome. Lu Li shook his head and said, I won't go to the auction. Actually, I have a favor to ask. I think I am asking for a favor, but I really have no other choice. I hope you don't mind. Han Wuxin's heart skipped a beat. Lu Li didn't even want 2 billion Xian crystals, and he wanted something else? Was he going to ask for an exorbitant price? Han Wuxin felt that Lu Li had come to him and said publicly that he saved Han Yu was asking for a favor. Of course, on the surface, Han Wuxin still put on a smile and said, Young Master Lu, the Han family is indebted to you. Just tell me what you want. If I can do it, I will. Thank you, Lord Wuxin. Lu Li came straight to the point and said, We want to go to the Mystic Armor region. Truth be told, I am a distant disciple of the Lu family. I want to go to an uncle of mine. But we have an enemy here who wants to kill us. So, I want to ask the Han family to send a powerful warrior at the peak of the Noble Lord realm to teleport us over. We just need to get to the Mystic Armor region. I see. Han Wuxin was relieved. He thought Lu Li was going to ask for something big. Little did he expect that it was just a small matter. Lu Li taking the initiative to tell Han Wuxin who he was had answered many questions. For example, Lu Li had 2 warriors of the noble Lord Realm with him, and Little White, the miraculous little beast. It was understandable that Lu Li was a disciple of the Lu family. It was normal that a distant disciple of the Lu family wanted to go back to the Mystic Armor region. Disciple of the Lu family? Han Wuxin's smile grew bigger. Even if Lu Li was a distant disciple, he was still a disciple of the Lu family. Han Wuxin patted his chest and said, "Young Master Lu, don't worry. I will ask Patriarch 3 to send you over in person. I will go with you. It won't take long anyway. This is not a big deal. Let's go to the Green Water City and we will talk about it when we get back." "Thank you, Lord Wuxin." Lu Li was overjoyed. Patriarch 3 of the Han family was at the peak of the noble Lord Realm, and Han Wuxin was the son of the family patriarch of the Han family. How could the Song family do anything to him? As long as they could get to the Mystic Armor region, Lu Li wouldn't be afraid even if the Song family wanted to mess around. Who would dare to do anything to him when he showed that he was the son of Lu Renhuang? Yu Huashan and Ming Yu were on the side. They were relieved to hear Han Wuxin's promise. They didn't have the ability to fight against the Song family. Lu Li was relieved. Han Wuxin dragged Lu Li out and said, "Young Master Lu, you can bid for anything below 2 billion Xian crystals at the auction house later. This is a token of my appreciation. Please don't decline." Lu Li didn't care about treasures anymore. As long as Han Wuxin could send him to the Mystic Armor region, nothing else mattered. But how could he decline Han Wuxin's kindness? He had to go to the Green Water City and bid for anything worth tens of millions of Xian crystals. 3 patriarchs of the noble Lord Realm of the Han family walked out with Han Yu in the middle. Lu Li could tell how much the Han family valued her. "Young Master Lu, nice to meet you." Han Yu looked at Lu Li shyly. She was only 13 or 14 years old, and hadn't grown up yet. But she had inherited Han Wuxin's handsome face. She was pretty and her features were pure and lovely. "Let's go, shall you? Later, if you see anything you like, tell me and I will buy it for you." Han Wuxin took Han Yu's hands, seeming to dote on her. Lu Li rolled his eyes. If it were not for the fact that Han Yu had awakened an 8th-rank bloodline, Han Wuxin wouldn't even look at her. They walked to the plaza and stepped into the teleportation formation. The Mystic Fire City was a region city and many region cities could be connected to it. The Green Water City was not far away. The Han family was affiliated to the Pavilion of Green Water, so they could teleport there directly. A ray of white light shot up to the sky. Lu Li and Han Yu felt dizzy. They had to rest for a while before they came back to their senses. Lu Li looked around and found that they had arrived at a magnificent city. This must be the Green Water City, where the Pavilion of Green Water was located. Buzzing, as soon as they stepped out of the teleportation formation, another teleportation formation next to them lit up. Then 5 people showed up. Lu Li, Yu Huashan and Ming Yu suddenly felt they were being stared at. They looked back at once. "Oh? Song He?" Han Wuxin was about to lead them to the east when he saw the people coming from the teleportation formation. He walked over with a smile, cupped his fists and said, "Brother Song He, Brother Song Chi, you are here as well? Could it be that he has taken a fancy to some treasure?" "Song He? Song Chi? Song family?" Lu Li and the other 2 looked at each other. Their hearts were weighed down. Yu Huashan and Ming Yu were ready to fight to the death. Chapter 331. The leader of the Song family team was Song He, a warrior at the later stage of the noble Lord Realm. He looked like a middle-aged man. Of course, if someone told Lu Li that this middle-aged man was actually hundreds of years old, Lu Li wouldn't be surprised. It was even normal for someone to say that a beautiful lady was actually over 400 years old. One fate wheel could increase one's lifespan by 500 years. Once one reached the peak of the eternal realm, he would have 9 fate wheels and theoretically, he could live for 4,500 years. Of course, there were often discrepancies between theories. It was normal for martial artists who had truly reached the peak of the imperishable realm to live for more than 2,000 years. Once one's lifespan was extended, it would not be easy for a cultivator to age. One's actual age could not be determined from their appearance. Song He and Han Wuxin exchanged some pleasantries. Suddenly, Song He turned to Lu Li and Han Yu and said with a smile, "Wuxin, is this your talented daughter?" Han Wuxin said proudly, "Yes, this is my daughter, Han Yu." "Han Yu, come and greet your uncle Song He." Han Yu had never seen much of a scene before. She shyly bowed and shouted, "Greetings, Uncle Song." "Greetings, uncles." Song He praised Han Yu a few times and then lightly said, "Wuxin, come over later when you have time. I have something to discuss with you." Something about the Palace of Heaven's Roars. Han Wuxin's interest was piqued. He quickly nodded and said, "All right, I'll come find you later." Song He nodded and left with his warriors. He didn't do anything. Lu Li, Yu Huashan and Ming Yu looked at each other, feeling uneasy. Would the Song family want to negotiate with Han Wuxin and have him sell the 3 of them? The Song family was more powerful than the Han family. If the Song family gave up some of their benefits to convince Han Wuxin, then the Han family would secretly take them down. They would not even know how they died. The problem was, if Lu Li told Han Wuxin directly that their enemy was the Song family, what if Han Wuxin changed his mind? They didn't want to offend the Song family for the sake of Lu Li and the other 2. Han Wuxin led everyone to the auction house. Lu Li didn't say anything. Yu Huashan and Ming Yu didn't say anything either. They lowered their heads and were in deep thoughts. The auction house was on the east side of the square and could be seen from the edge. This auction house was very grand, much bigger than the heaven-punishing auction house. There were 10 guards standing at the entrance, all of them at the early stage of the imperishable realm. Han Wuxin seemed to be a regular customer, as the guards all bowed to him and let him through. The group walked into the auction house and was led to a private room on the 2nd floor. This private room was very large and could accommodate over a dozen people. There were also 2 maids serving inside, and all sorts of spirit fruits and fine wine were laid out on the table. After Lu Li came in, his mind was not on the auction house. He sat there in silence. He answered every question Han Wuxin asked. He did not mind Han Wuxin introducing the auction house to him, so he just replied casually. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that Song He was trying to bribe Han Wuxin. If Song He and Han Wuxin succeeded in their negotiation, he would be sold, and he would not be able to return to the Mystic Fire region. Lu Li thought about it and realized there were only 2 ways. First, he could stop Han Wuxin from seeing Song He. Or he could convince Han Wuxin to stand on his side. It was difficult to stop Han Wuxin from seeing Song He. After all, if he stopped Han Wuxin this time, Song He would definitely find a way to see Han Wuxin next time. The key was to convince Han Wuxin to help Lu Li to the end. Lu Li looked up at Han Wuxin and said, "Lord Wuxin, can I have a word with you?" Han Wuxin had noticed something was wrong since Lu Li came in. He nodded and said, "Come with me, young Master Lu." They walked out. Han Wuxin asked a maid to show them to a small side chamber. After the door was closed, Han Wuxin asked with a solemn expression, "Young Master Lu, what is it?" Lu Li didn't say anything. He thought about it and asked, "Lord Wuxin, how much do you know about the Lu family? Why do you say this?" Han Wuxin frowned and said, "The Lu family is one of the 12 royal families. They have a powerful defensive bloodline of the Central Plains. I don't know what happened 10 years ago, but the Lu family is one of the most powerful families of the Central Plains. There is no doubt about that." Lu Li nodded and then asked, Lord Wuxin, how do you compare the Lu family to the Song family? Song family? Our Song family? Han Wuxin was surprised. Seeing that Lu Li nodded, he waved his hand and said, "There is no comparison. The Song family is only of the 6th rank and the Lu family is of the 8th rank, a royal family." Ha ha! Lu Li nodded with a smile and said, "Lord Wuxin, actually, I have to hide something from you. I am not from a distant branch of the Lu family. I am a disciple of the immediate Lu family. My identity is similar to that of Lady Han Yu. I have been living outside and I only learned recently that I am the grandson of a patriarch of the Lu family." Han Wuxin was shocked. A disciple of a distant branch of the Lu family and the grandson of a patriarch of the Lu family were worlds apart. If Lu Li really was a disciple of the immediate Lu family, then even the Palace of Heaven's Roars would pay attention to him. But Han Wuxin had some doubts. Why would a disciple of the immediate Lu family only have 2 warriors of the noble Lord Realm with him? Why would he be hunted down by his enemies? Why would he need the Han family to escort him? Who would dare to touch Lu Li when he showed his identity? Same identity as Xiao Yu? An illegitimate son? Lu Li's words made Han Wuxin frown. He didn't try to verify Lu Li's identity. He asked directly, "Young Master Lu, just say what you want." Lu Li came straight to the point. "My enemy is the Song family. Song, he wanted to talk to you just now. I think he wants you to sell me to the Song family." Han Wuxin was surprised again. He shook his head and said, "Why would the Song family want to touch you? How can the Song family do anything to you when you show your identity?" Lu Li shrugged and said, "The problem is that I cannot show my identity. As for why the Song family wants to touch me, Lord Wuxin, you will understand if you think about it. I once saved a disciple of the Song family at the Gargoyle Mountain." Gargoyle Mountain? Han Wuxin's eyes flickered. Then he understood and said, "Is it because of that little beast of yours? Young Master Lu, why are you so sure that the Song family wants to touch you?" Ha ha! Lu Li grinned, which made Han Wuxin feel cold. Lu Li said, "The Song family has been sending scouts to follow us. We captured 2 of them and got some information out of them." Han Wuxin said nothing and so did Lu Li. Actually, Lu Li was taking a gamble by telling Han Wuxin everything. He was betting that Han Wuxin would be on his side, that Han Wuxin would help him for the sake that he saved Han Yu. If he was wrong, then it would be even more dangerous. The Han family might make a move secretly and kill them directly. Time moved on. After the time for one incense stick to burn, Han Wuxin finally said, "Young Master Lu, do you have an ID token of the Lu family? If you do, the Song family won't dare to touch you no matter how bold they are." Han Wuxin's question was clever. He wanted Lu Li to prove his identity as a disciple of the Lu family. If he had proof, he would help Lu Li to the end without any hesitation. "No, I don't have anything of the Lu family." Lu Li shrugged and said frankly, "I just want to say that I could have kept my identity and my beast a secret at the Gargoyle Mountain. I risked everything to save a life. If you are willing to do that for me, I think when I go back to the Lu family and reunite with my family, the Han family will be friends with me and the Lu family." "Okay." Han Wuxin's eyes flickered. He made up his mind and said, "Brother Lu, you are so righteous. I admire you. You are my friend." Chapter 332. Han Wuxin was interested in Whitey as well. Not only him, but the whole Han family was interested as well. After all, this was a spirit beast that could possibly be a beast emperor. This kind of spirit beast could only be found by chance in the Central Plains. Lu Li's roar at the Mystic Fire City had deterred the Han family from doing anything rash. Big families had to care about their dignity. To attack their savior was a taboo. If this matter was known, the Han family would be reviled by the world. More importantly, Lu Li was saving Han Yu. With Han Yu, the Han family would have a chance to soar. Now was the time to seek stability. Once their reputation was tarnished, they might be annihilated by the other clans, preventing the Han clan from rising up. Lu Li had stated that he was a disciple of the Lu family, so Han Wuxin was even more afraid to do anything. Now, Lu Li claimed that he was a disciple of the immediate Lu family. Han Wuxin didn't have any proof, but what if it was true? Not to mention the Han clan, even the rank 7 pavilion of green water would be annihilated if the Lu clan found out that they dared to kill a direct descendant of the Lu clan. Lu Li was a disciple of the immediate Lu family, a young man who had a spiritual beast that was suspected to be a beast king, and a weirdo who could walk out from the wicked sorcery mountain. There were so many mysteries and oddities about Lu Li. If such a person were to return to the Lu family, there would definitely be a chance for him to rise. Once he was in power in the Lu family, the Han family would gain a powerful ally. With the addition of Han Yu, it was certain that the Han clan would become a 7th-rank clan in the future. Han Wuxin was the young leader of the Han family, the leader of the Hall of Battle, and the future leader of the Han family. His decision basically represented the Han family. Lu Li was relieved. He followed Han Wuxin back to the private room of the auction house. The auction had already begun, and 2 treasures had already been sold. Lu Li didn't care about treasures. There were many in the coffin of the Dragon King. It was just that he couldn't open it yet. Moreover, his current cultivation level was too low. Even if he obtained a powerful treasure, it would not be able to increase his combat strength by much. Han Wuxin invited Lu Li to bid and encouraged Han Yu as well. Han Yu, on the other hand, was in high spirit. She bid for a few treasures, but they were all cheap treasures worth tens of millions of mysterious crystals. The auction here was of a much higher level than the one at the Heaven Prison City. Lu Li saw that more than 100 Heaven Serpent fruits were auctioned off at once. The rest of the auction items were worth tens or hundreds of millions of Xian crystals. Few of them were worth millions. Unable to resist Han Wuxin's kindness, Lu Li made a move. He had his eyes on an elixir, one that could nourish the soul. This was what he needed. However, the spiritual medicine was not that precious. The final price was 80 million Xian crystals. It was a favor from Han Wuxin, and the Han family did not spend too much. Lu Li was dazzled by the following items. Many of them were treasures he had never heard of. Han Wuxin asked Lu Li to continue bidding, but Lu Li refused. Han Wuxin knew what Lu Li was thinking, so he didn't try to persuade him anymore. Han Wuxin was in a good mood. He bought a beautiful top-class armor with 700 million Xian crystals and gave it to Han Yu. Han Yu was so excited that her eyes were wet. She had never felt a father's love since she was young. This time, she could be considered to have made up for it. Master Xian. An escort suddenly walked in and whispered to Han Wuxin, "Lord Song, he wants to talk to you." Lu Li put on a smile. Yu Huashan and Ming Yu were nervous. Song he was going to talk about the price. Song he walked over to Lu Li, smiled gently, waved his hand and said, "Go and tell Brother Song he that I am with young Master Lu Li and cannot leave. I will go and apologize to him later." Yu Huashan and Ming Yu's eyes glowed. Han Wuxin was making it clear that he was going to protect Lu Li. He had pointed out Lu Li's identity, which meant that he had learned everything. Not seeing Song he was a strong signal as well. The escort left. Lu Li was relieved. Even though the Han family was weaker than the Song family, they were at the same level. Both of them were affiliated to the Pavilion of Green Water. Theoretically speaking, the Song family wouldn't dare to do anything unless the Song family wanted to start a war with the Han family. After a while, the escort came back with Song He's words. The escort wanted to whisper to Han Wuxin's ears, but Han Wuxin waved his hand and said, "Young Master Lu and the others are my friends. There are no secrets. Just say it." The escort answered honestly, "Lord Song, he said that young Master Lu killed someone of the Song family. If Master Xian insists on protecting young Master Lu, It will affect the relationship between the two families. Ha ha ha! Han Wuxin laughed and said with mockery, "Go and tell Song He that young Master Lu saved my daughter's life, and he is a friend of mine. Don't waste time. Just come back after you tell him." Han Wuxin had made his stance clear. He was going to stand on Lu Li's side even if he had to fall out with the Song family. Lu Li cupped his fists to Han Wuxin gratefully. The latter smiled lightly, not worried at all. The escort came back after he delivered the message. The auction was going on and it was coming to an end. The last few treasures were being auctioned off. Lu Li and the other two were relaxed. They would go back to the Mystic Armor region after the auction was over and then go back to the Mystic Fire City. The last few items were indeed treasures. There was already a holy grade Xian artifact. The price was soaring as well. The price had reached 5 billion Xian crystals, which shocked Lu Li and the others. Alright, next up is the second last item of our auction. A pretty lady from the auction house raised her hand. A strong man came up with an item in his arms. The item was wrapped in a red cloth so Lu Li couldn't see what it was. The pretty auctioneer said with a smile, "This item is interesting. It was found in an ancient site. This item we cannot identify it. If anyone here knows it, please tell us so that we can see it." Cannot identify it? Many people were curious. Lu Li felt this sentence was familiar. Where had he heard it before? Then he remembered that when he was bidding for the origin blood essence at the heaven-punishing auction house, the auction house couldn't identify it. Lu Li looked at the item curiously. The pretty auctioneer lifted the red cloth and saw a huge golden claw. That was right. That strong man was holding a huge golden claw. Clearly, it belonged to a powerful Xian beast, and it was cut off. The beast claw was golden in color as if it was made of gold. There were many small scales on it, emitting a cold and metallic qi and energy. Even just one claw could make many people breathless. How powerful the owner of the beast claw must be. This claw must be at least of the Beast King realm. Han Wuxin's eyes glowed. He said in a deep voice, "This is indeed a rare treasure. There are 3 drops of origin blood essence in the claw. That is why the claw is not decayed, and it has such a powerful qi and energy. If the claw belonged to a beast above the Beast King level, it will be valuable." Phew. With that said, Han Wuxin suddenly felt something was off. He turned to Lu Li, only to see Lu Li panting heavily. His muscles were bulging and his eyes were glowing in silver light. There was a strange qi and energy coming out of him. It was as if Lu Li had become a human-shaped beast. Han Wuxin hurriedly grabbed Lu Li and shouted, "Brother Lu, what happened?" Ming Yu, Yu Huashan and the others also looked at Lu Li nervously, wondering why he had become like this. Chapter 333. This was not the first time Lu Li was in this situation. Last time at the heaven-punishing auction house, it was a drop of origin blood essence. When the origin blood essence came out, the silver dragon bloodline on his back glowed. The burning blood skill was released automatically. His blood was boiling and his mind was filled with a strong idea that he must get that drop of blood. Now, his blood was boiling again. The silver dragon bloodline once again sent him a strong message that he must get that beast claw. Last time, that drop of origin blood essence gave Lu Li the dragon roar skill. This beast claw must be beneficial to his bloodline. Therefore, Lu Li shouted that he must get it at all costs. He forced himself to calm down. He turned to Han Wuxin, forced a smile and said, "Lord Wuxin, this beast claw is very useful to me. I will get it. But this time, I will do it myself. I can afford the billions of Xian crystals." Han Wuxin looked at the silver glow in Lu Li's eyes. He thought more highly of Lu Li. The qi and energy of a warrior of the Soul Pond realm made Han Wuxin feel depressed. This young man was not simple. If he really was a disciple of the immediate Lu family, then Han Wuxin was taking a big gamble. Soon, Han Wuxin made up his mind and said, "Brother Lu, since you value it so much, then go ahead. If you don't have enough Xian crystals, I will pay for you. It doesn't matter how much." Okay. Lu Li didn't waste any more time. He nodded and looked down. The pretty auctioneer had started to call out the base price. The base price was 1 billion Xian crystals, which was very high. Almost all the people in the hall were disciples of small families. They were not qualified to participate in this kind of bidding. They could only enjoy the show. Someone in the private rooms above made a bid. The beast claw was at least of a beast king's claw. It might be an ancient beast claw. The 3 drops of origin blood essence were valuable in itself. Soon, the price was raised to 2 billion Xian crystals and people were calling out bids frequently. Lu Li didn't even make one bid. He just sat there in silence. Yu Huashan, Ming Yu and the others looked at Lu Li nervously, waiting for him to make a move. The price kept going up. By the time the price reached 3 billion, the number of bidders had dwindled. Only 3 people in private rooms were still raising the price. Han Wuxin observed for a while and explained, "The bidder is in private room number 7. It is the Tu family, a 6th-rank family. There are also 2 other families. One is the Yang family from the Pavilion of Greenwater, and the other is the 6th-rank Qin family." Lu Li turned around and asked, "People from the Pavilion of Greenwater are bidding as well? Isn't this auction house owned by the Greenwater Pavilion?" Han Wuxin smiled faintly and said, "The Pavilion of Greenwater is not a family. It is made up of 4 families. The Yang family is just one of the smaller ones. The Pavilion of Delicacy and the Palace of Heaven's Roars were made up of several families. The Jiang family was the leader of the Pavilion of Delicacy and the Ku family was in charge of the Palace of Heaven's Roars. If any of the 12 Forces clans is in power, they will become the 12 royal clans. If the Linglong Pavilion's Jiang clan is no longer in power, another clan will take over, and that clan will become the new royal clan." "I see." Lu Li understood. Yu Huashan and Ming Yu were not surprised. Many forces at the northern desert were formed by several families. Some took turns to hold power, some rose to power depending on the family's strength, and some held power together. The price kept going up. When it reached 4 billion crystals, the Yang family of the Pavilion of Green Water quit. Only the Tu family and the Qin family of the 6th rank were left. Ming Yu and Yu Huashan were worried. The price was so high. If Lu Li got it, they would lose their travel expenses. Could they borrow Xian crystals from the Han family? Would the Han family lend them so many Xian crystals? When the price reached 4.5 billion, the Tu family said nothing. Clearly, the price had reached its limit and they didn't want to go further. Finally, Lu Li made his move. He said to Han Wuxin, 5 billion for me. Rich as the Han family was, they were shocked by Lu Li's generosity. Others would raise the price by 1 or 2 billion and Lu Li would raise it by 500 million. Han Wuxin knew that Lu Li had gotten a lot of purple Xian crystals and soul crystals at the Gargoyle Mountain. Lu Li said he had billions of Xian crystals as well. Naturally, Han Wuxin wouldn't hold back. It would feel good to take someone else's Xian crystals and shock the other families. Han Wuxin shouted, 5 billion. There was an uproar and then silence. Everyone looked towards the private room of the Qin family. After a moment of silence, the Qin family raised the price by 100 million. Han Wuxin looked at Lu Li who waved his hand and said, 6 billion. Han Wuxin rolled his eyes. Lu Li was raising the price too fast. He was treating the Xian crystals like they were nothing. That being said, the effect was good. The other families would know that Lu Li was determined to get it. Lu Li's imposing manner made the other families afraid to raise the price again. Han Wuxin shouted again, 6 billion. The crowd was boiling again. This time, the Qin family didn't say anything for a long time. Lu Li and Han Wuxin were relieved. 6 billion was a high price, but Lu Li was satisfied with it. When the pretty auctioneer was about to hit the gavel, someone in a private room suddenly shouted, 7 billion. Han Wuxin and Lu Li looked gloomy. They didn't even have to see which private room it was. They could tell from the voice that it was Song He who made the bid without even looking at the private room number. The Song family didn't make a bid before. Now that they suddenly raised the price by 1 billion, their intention was clear. Han Wuxin almost fell out with Song He. Clearly, Song He was trying to get back at them. He was raising the price on purpose, or he was trying to snatch the auction. Han Wuxin looked at Lu Li, asking for his opinion. Lu Li lowered his head and thought for a while. Then he reached out 10 fingers. 10 billion. Han Wuxin and the other patriarchs of the Han family were shocked. Was Lu Li out of his mind? Raising the price by 3 billion? Did he have that many Xian crystals? Lu Li nodded with certainty. Han Wuxin made up his mind and said, 10 billion. I don't want more. Han Wuxin's intention was clear. If Song He was just raising the price, then he had achieved his goal. If he raised the price higher and no one made a bid, then the Song family would buy it. This time, there was no more noise. They were waiting for the Song family to make a bid. The Song family was scared. After all, they didn't want to buy the beast claw. They were just raising the price. Bang! The pretty auctioneer made the final decision. The highest price of the day had been reached. 10 billion Xian crystals. That was almost all a powerful 5th-rank family could afford just for one treasure. Yu Huashan, give me more Xian crystals. If it is not enough, fill it with soul crystals. Lu Li waved his hand. Yu Huashan took out the interspatial ring with the purple Xian crystals and handed it to Han Wuxin. There were more than 700,000 purple Xian crystals, which was equivalent to more than 7 billion Xian crystals. Lu Li squandered it all at once. Yu Huashan took out another 2,000 soul crystals and handed them to Han Wuxin so that he could settle the bill with the auction house. Han Wuxin didn't refuse. After all, he couldn't make the decision for such a large amount. He sent a patriarch to settle the bill with the auction house and get back the auction item. There was one more item that Lu Li didn't care about. He didn't even pay attention to it. By the time the auction was over, the patriarch of the Han family had come back with the huge golden claw. Lu Li took over the golden claw with excitement. Last time, a drop of origin blood essence helped him awaken the dragon roar skill. What kind of bloodline skill could this golden claw help him? Chapter 334. The auction was over. Lu Li, Han Wuxin, and the others went back to the Mystic Fire City at once. The Green Water City was safe, but what if Song He and the others decided to take risk? Han Wuxin went to discuss with the Han family patriarch and chief patriarch as soon as he came back. Lu Li and the others went back to the castle. Yu Huashan, Mingyu, protect me. As soon as Lu Li came back, he decided to study the golden beast claw. If possible, he would try to consume it. This could not be delayed. The sooner, the better. Yu Huashan was guarding in the hall of the castle, and Mingyu was with Lu Li. Lu Li went into a room, closed the door, and took out the golden beast claw from his interspatial ring. The beast claw was huge. Each of the 6 claws was as thick as a man's forearm, strong and powerful. The nails were shiny and sharp like 6 sharp blades. If someone were to be scratched by the beast claw, they would be minced into pieces. The beast's claw gave off a powerful beast's might. This was a beast's claw that had been cut off, and it had been there for who knew how long. How horrifying would the beast be when it was alive? It was unimaginable. Squeak, squeak, Little White was alarmed. It flew out from Lu Li's sleeve. Seeing the beast claw, its eyes were filled with anxiety and fear. Little White retreated to a corner, not daring to get closer. Lu Li looked at Little White and studied the beast claw for a while, not knowing what to do. The bloodline in his body was tumbling. The silver dragon mark on his back was glowing and moving around. His eyes were glowing in silver light as well. After a while, Lu Li poured Xian energy into the beast claw, trying to see what would happen. Lu Li was disappointed. He poured Xian energy into the beast claw for the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, but nothing happened. Luli frowned and observed for a while. Then he took out a dagger and cut at the beast claw. After some sparks, the dagger slid away. The beast claw didn't leave any mark. "Young master," Mingyu said, "powerful Xian beasts have horrifying physical bodies. There are 3 drops of origin blood essence in this beast claw. If it could be cut, the blood would have been taken away. If one is not a powerful warrior and doesn't use a powerful profound meaning, one cannot break the beast claw." Luli nodded. Suddenly, he looked at Little White and asked, "Little White, can you bite it open?" Little White shook its little head, not knowing if it couldn't bite open or if it didn't dare to. Luli could only look away. It was all up to him now. The blood in Luli's body was tumbling even more violently, as if it was about to burst out of his blood vessels. Luli had an idea and suddenly cut his finger with the dagger. Chi, a few drops of blood dripped onto the beast claw, causing it to suddenly emit white smoke. Next, the entire beast claw melted at a speed visible to the naked eye, sizzling with smoke. At the same time, a powerful blood energy spread out from the beast's claw, causing Ming Yu's soul to tremble. "Young master, be careful." Ming Yu's expressions changed. He tried to grab the beast claw and throw it away, but Luli shouted, "Don't move!" At first, Luli wanted to throw the beast claw away as well. However, he realized that after the beast claw melted, strands of energy flowed into his right hand. He could feel the silver dragon bloodline behind him getting even more excited. Naturally, he could not let go of the beast claw. He glanced at the beast claw and shouted angrily at Mingyu, later on, "No matter what happens, do not touch me. If there are any changes to my body, use your power to suppress me. Don't worry. I will be fine. This beast claw is very beneficial to me." With that said, Luli sat with his legs crossed and used his mind to sense the energy entering his arm. The beast claw was melting faster and faster. Strands of golden energy entered Luli's right hand. Buzzing, 3 streaks of blood-red light came out from the beast claw. They were the 3 drops of origin blood essence. They also rushed into Luli's right hand. "Ah!" Luli screamed in pain. Luckily, he was in a sealed room with the door closed. Otherwise, his roar would have alerted the nearby castles. Seeing Mingyu running towards him in fear, Luli endured the pain and shouted, "Suppress me, now!" Mingyu's eyes flickered. Eventually, he chose to obey Luli's will. He released his power to suppress Luli. Yu Huashan rushed in from outside. Seeing Luli lying on the ground in pain, Yu Huashan shouted, "Young master, what happened?" The beast claw was still in Luli's hand. More than half of it had melted and the rest was still melting. Luli's right hand had turned blood-red as if it was on fire. His sleeves were torn apart and the veins on his arm were standing out. It was a hideous sight. Mingyu's force weakened and Luli could move again. He looked at Yu Huashan with red eyes and said, "Who let you in? Get out." Yu Huashan moved his head back, touched his nose and walked out. Luli turned to Mingyu, who had to use his force again. Luli couldn't stand it anymore. He let out another miserable scream. However, he couldn't make any louder because of the force. He was in great pain. It was indescribable. If it were not for the fact that Mingyu was suppressing him with force, he might have the urge to cut off his right hand. When he was in the tomb of Dragon King, he consumed 1 drop of origin blood essence. At that time, he felt every piece of his muscles, bones and skin were on fire. Now, there were 3 drops of origin blood essence in his body, and they were all concentrated in his right hand. It was not hard to imagine how horrifying the pain was. His right hand felt like it was being bitten by 10,000 worms. Every piece of bone, every muscle, every inch of skin was in agony. Luli had gone through 3 days and 3 nights of hellish torture at the wicked sorcery mountain. Now, he could bear the pain. He forced himself not to pass out because he had to be aware of the condition of his arm at all times. If the beast claw and the 3 drops of origin blood essence were not beneficial to him, then he would have to cut off his arm by force. The beast claw disappeared completely. It turned into a stream of golden air and surged into Lu Li's arm. What was strange was, the golden air stream and the 3 drops of origin blood essence didn't enter his body. They stayed in his right hand. He felt the flesh and blood on his right hand were burning, but the rest of his body was fine. Time moved on. Lu Li was so tortured that he couldn't even shout anymore. The pain had been going on for an hour, and it was still not going away. Mingyu was watching with his heart pounding. Looking at the young master lying on the ground and screaming, Mingyu admired Lu Li. If it were someone else, he or she would have passed out by now. After the time for 3 incense sticks to burn, the burning and tearing pain in his arm subsided. Lu Li closed his eyes and breathed heavily, as if he was weak. Is it over? Underworld released his psychic power, trying to find out what was happening to Lu Li's arm. The next second, Mingyu's pupils contracted because he noticed that Lu Li's arm was changing. Scales appeared on Lu Li's skin. Each scale was similar to the one on the beast claw. The difference was that the scales on Lu Li's hand were silver, while those on the beast claw were golden. What was more surprising to Mingyu was that Lu Li's arms were getting thicker and his fingers were longer. His nails were growing fast and they had hooks on them. Lu Li's nails had a metallic texture and a cold chi and energy, like sharp blades. How? Chapter 335. Lu Li bought a beast claw of an ancient beast and dripped a drop of blood on it. Smoke came out of the beast claw. It was corroded by Lu Li's blood and disappeared bit by bit. Lu Li's own hand had mutated into a beast claw. A man's hand could turn into a beast claw? How strange was this? The silver glow in Lu Li's eyes and the strange chi and energy around him made Mingyu feel that Lu Li had mutated. Mutation was not a good thing. A man could cultivate all kinds of xian skills, profound meanings and even the skills of beasts. But a man was a man. His body could not mutate. Otherwise, he would become a monster, no longer a pure human being. Mingyu once heard that there was a special race called the orcs. They had many features of beasts. This kind of orcs was not favored by humans. If Lu Li's arm remained like this, he might not even be able to return to the Lu family. After all, the Lu family was one of the royal families. The Lu family could not afford to lose face like this. Mingyu frowned, blaming Lu Li for his recklessness. Lu Li was still breathing heavily with his eyes closed. He didn't seem to know that half of his arm had mutated into a beast claw. He couldn't even pick up chopsticks now. Time passed by quietly. After an hour, Lu Li finally recovered. He no longer felt the burning sensation on his arm. He rested for an hour and felt better. Lying on the ground, he opened his eyes, exhaled and exclaimed, "I am in so much pain." Mingyu raised his eyebrows and asked, "Young master, are you okay?" Lu Li looked at Mingyu, who was looking at him as if he was a monster. Lu Li grinned and said, "I am okay." "Mingyu, why are you looking at me like that?" Mingyu pouted, pointed to Lu Li's arm and said, "Young master, look at your right hand." Lu Li didn't mind at all. He raised his right hand and said, "Ha, ha, you think I have become a monster? Back." With Lu Li's shout, his arm glowed in silver light. The scales slowly disappeared into his body. His fingers and nails shortened and returned to their original shape. He looked just like his other hand. How? Mingyu's eyes were wide open. Looking at Lu Li's white hand, he said in surprise, "Young master, your hand didn't mutate? What is mutation?" Lu Li was in a good mood. He put on a big smile and said, "This is a new bloodline skill I got, Blood Claw. I can change at any time, and I can change back." Bloodline divine skill, how is this possible? Mingyu was even more shocked. There was no bloodline mark on Lu Li's neck. How could he have bloodline skill? Furthermore, bloodline godly skills only appeared when the bloodline awakened. How could a bloodline godly skill suddenly appear after refining a beast claw? You don't believe me? Luli grinned and said, as a matter of fact, you should have seen my other two bloodline skills, Burning Blood and Dragon Roar. Burning Blood, Dragon Roar? Ming Yu's pupils contracted. He thought about it. He remembered how Lu Li's physical body became stronger and how he roared. Ming Yu yelled in surprise, "Those are bloodline skills?" "No. Young master, you must be mistaken. A person can only have one bloodline god skill. How can you have three?" Lu Li stood up, stretched himself and said with a smile, "This is my secret and I cannot tell you. The reason why I can awaken three bloodline skills is because of my father." "Master?" This time, Ming Yu was convinced. Lu Renhuang was a genius. Since it was arranged by Lu Renhuang, it was normal for something strange to happen to Lu Li. Looking at Lu Li's arm that had changed back to its original shape, Ming Yu was relieved. If it really was a bloodline skill, then it was not a mutation. If it really was a bloodline skill, then it would be normal. After all, when many bloodline skills were released, the body would change. For example, when the mystic armor skill of the Lu family was released, there would be a layer of strange golden substance outside the body, as if there was a golden armor on the body. Ming Yu also heard that there was a big family of the northern desert that could enlarge their body and become ancient giants after releasing their bloodline skill. But that family was destroyed by the Yi family. Because of that, the Yi family established the Heaven Cold Kingdom. Lu Li didn't care how Ming Yu looked at him. He was overjoyed because he was 100% sure that this was a bloodline skill. Just now, the information in his mind was exactly the same as when he awakened the Burning Blood skill. This new bloodline skill was called Blood Claw. It was Lu Li's right hand turning into a beast claw. The specific power was unknown. The Dragon Roar skill was powerful. This Blood Claw would not be weak. When Blood Claw was released, Lu Li felt a strong force coming from his arm. At that moment, he felt that he could crush anything. Let's try it. The more Lu Li thought about it, the more excited he was. He took out a Xian artifact of the 9th rank of the Earth grade, handed it to Ming Yu and said, "Here, let's see how powerful it is. Pour your Xian energy in." Ming Yu was interested. He poured Xian energy into the Xian artifact at once. Lu Li shouted, "Blood Claw." Lu Li's right forearm became thicker, and silver scales appeared. His fingernails grew longer and sharper. Lu Li's right hand had turned into a beautiful and horrifying beast claw. There was a silver glow on the claw, and the silver scales were glistening. It was a very beautiful sight. "Hoi!" Lu Li suddenly waved his hand forward and grabbed the Xian artifact with force. After he got it, he grabbed it with all his strength. Crack, something that surprised Lu Li and Ming Yu happened. The Xian artifact of the 9th rank of the Earth grade exploded in an instant as if it were made of wood. It was crushed easily. That is horrifying. Ming Yu noticed that when Lu Li grabbed the Xian artifact, there was a silver stream of air circulating around his blood claw. His 5 fingers seemed to have become the sharpest divine weapon. He could crush the 9th rank Earth grade Xian artifact easily. "Young master, try this." Ming Yu was excited. He took out a Heaven grade Xian artifact shield. Heaven grade Xian artifacts were precious, but shields were even more valuable. This shield would be worth at least 5 million Xian crystals. Ming Yu didn't care about it now. If Lu Li could crush it, then it would be worth it even if it was 50 million Xian crystals. "Okay." Lu Li shouted and reached for the shield. Right at that moment, the door was opened silently. Yu Huashan wanted to see what was going on since it was quiet inside. Bang! The Heaven grade shield was crushed and a hole appeared on the shield. Lu Li's arm pierced through the shield. Ming Yu was so frightened that he threw the shield away and retreated. "Hiss hiss," Ming Yu gasped. He sensed a fatal danger. If he didn't step back, he would be pierced through in an instant. What? Standing at the door, Yu Huashan was shocked. How could a heaven-grade shield be broken so easily? If Lu Li's claw had landed on their heads, they would have been killed instantly as well. Not only them, but any noble Lord Realm warrior that was grabbed by Lu Li would die instantly. Human sovereign realm warriors had powerful force fields that Lu Li could not get close to. Could an average noble Lord Realm warrior's body be as strong as a heaven-grade shield? Of course, this was based on the premise that Lu Li could catch a noble Lord Realm warrior. Lu Li's speed was like a child crawling in the eyes of a noble Lord Realm warrior. Lu Li would be killed before he could get close to Lu Li, let alone being grabbed by him. Even so, Yu Huashan exclaimed to himself. Lu Li was only at the Soul Pond realm, and he was already so powerful. How powerful would he be when he reached the Eternal Realm and the Noble Lord Realm? Once Lu Li returned to the Lu family, he would be nurtured by the endless resources of the Lu family. His realm would be improved rapidly. Chapter 336. Blood Ignition, Dragon Roar, Blood Claw. Lu Li now had 3 bloodline skills. He didn't know why this was the case. As far as Ming Yu and Yu Huashan knew, no one could have 2 bloodline skills. Even an 8th rank bloodline could only have 1 bloodline skill. Lu Li couldn't figure it out either. He could only ask Lu Renhuang about it. After all, it was all because of the animal tooth pendant left by Lu Renhuang. Many strange things happening inside Lu Li's body were all because of the animal tooth pendant. After half a night, Lu Li stopped thinking about it. He cultivated quietly and waited for Han Wuxin's arrival. At dawn the next day, Han Wuxin arrived. Coming with him was Han Wuqing, the 3rd patriarch of the Han family, a powerful warrior at the peak of the Noble Lord Realm. After Han Wuxin introduced Han Wuqing, they got down to business. He said that he and Han Wuqing were going to escort Lu Li back to the Mystic Armor region with a powerful warrior at the later stage of the Noble Lord Realm. Delay could lead to changes. Last night, he had expressed the Han family's position. If the Song family didn't want to start a war with the Han family, they wouldn't dare to act recklessly. That being said, the earlier Lu Li could return to the Lu family in the Mystic Armor region, the earlier he would be safe. He could not give the Song family any chance. Lu Li agreed with Han Wuxin. He wished he could go back to the Lu family as soon as possible. After all, his parents were still in the Ice Abyss and Lu Ling's status was still unknown. Lu Li asked Yu Huashan to give all the remaining soul crystals to Han Wuxin. Lu Li had spent 10 billion last night and he didn't have many Xian crystals left. He only had about 7,000 soul crystals, which could be converted into 7 billion Xian crystals. This is, Han Wuxin said with a frown. Lu Li said with shame, this is all we have. We had enough Xian crystals to teleport to the Mystic Armor region, but we spent 10 billion last night. This is all we have left. Lord Wuxian, please think of a way to get the remaining Xian crystals. I'll return all the Xian crystals you've spent when we return to the Lu family. Soul crystals were treasures for cultivating soul ponds. Lu Li was in dire need of a soul pond, but he couldn't care less. He couldn't possibly ask the Han clan to escort him back for free and still have to pay for their travel expenses, right? To teleport from the north of the Central Plains to the Mystic Armor region, it would cost 5 to 6 billion Xian crystals per person. They had been walking for a while now. By calculation, each person would need 3 or 4 billion Xian crystals. Lu Li had given them more than 7 billion Xian crystals, and the Han family had to add more. Han Wuxin was not pretentious. This time, there were 3 people from his family, and he needed a lot of Xian crystals. The reason why only 3 people were going this time was because the teleportation fee was too expensive. Han Wuxin nodded and left to make arrangements. After Han Wuxin left, Yu Huashan looked at Lu Li and said, "Young master, how can you trust Han Wuxin so much? What if he tricked us?" Lu Li smiled lightly and said, "Do we have any other options? If Han Wuxin had tricked us, what use do we have for keeping these soul crystals? He's dead, so everything belongs to someone else. Yu Huashan said nothing. Lu Li went back to his room to study the mirror image profound meaning. Some time ago, he had gained a lot of insights and was making good progress. Now, he naturally had to seize all the time he had to cultivate. The day passed quickly, and Han Wuxin finally arrived with his men. However, they arrived before dawn. Lu Li understood. It was the time when people were sleeping. It would be easier for them to avoid the scouts if they teleported away now. Han Wuxin, Han Wuqing, an old man at the later stage of the noble lord realm, and Lu Li, Yu Huashan and Yu Huashan quickly left the Han family compound. Han Yu was waiting for them at the gate. She bowed to Lu Li and said gratefully, "Young Master Lu, I will never forget your kindness. If I can achieve something in the future, I will repay you handsomely." Lu Li put on a bright smile. He didn't say any pleasantries. He just nodded and said, "Take care, Lady Han Yu. See you later." Lu Li and the other four left. Han Yu stood at the gate and watched them leave. His young and inexperienced face was stretched taut, and a pair of lacquer eyes flickered like fireflies in the night sky. Buzzing, soon, a ray of light shot up to the sky, lighting up half of the mystic fire city. The light lasted for a long time. Clearly, they were going to teleport to a far place. The city belonged to the Han family. It wouldn't cost any Xian crystals to teleport to their own family. Han Wuxin was not an idiot. He knew it was better to teleport as far as possible. This time, he went to the furthest region city, the Sand City. The teleportation lasted for 2 hours. Lu Li was dizzy. When he felt his legs touching the ground, he quickly grabbed onto Mingyu so that he wouldn't fall to the ground. "Are you okay? Do you need some rest?" Han Wuxin asked with concern. Lu Li shook his head. It was dawn now. It would be harder for them to be tracked down if they could teleport for a few more times. Han Wuxin took them to another teleportation formation. He had already calculated the route and calculated how many Xian crystals would be needed for each teleportation. Han Wuxin threw out a ring. The leader guarding the teleportation formation checked it and asked someone to activate it. Lu Li and the others were enveloped in white light again and disappeared. Teleportation, teleportation, more teleportation. Lu Li felt dizzy. He had to hold on to Ming Yu's arm and teleport along. He tried his best not to throw up. He clenched his teeth and persisted. Han Wuxin finally stopped after more than 20 teleportations. He asked Lu Li to take a rest. Lu Li had a meal in a tavern, but he couldn't eat anything. He just sat and rested. An hour later, they would continue. Lu Li had no idea where he was or how many times he had been teleported. Even if someone wanted to kill him, he could only wait for his death. He was dizzy and couldn't tell which direction was which. He had to follow Mingyu. Han Wuxin didn't stop until it was dark. He brought Lu Li and the others into the tavern. He didn't ask Lu Li to go to a room to rest. Instead, he took the others to eat. Seeing the confusion in Yu Huashan and Ming Yu's eyes, Han Wuxin said in a low voice, "It has been a peaceful journey, but I think it is better to be careful. If we teleport continuously, the Song family won't be able to do anything even if they want to do something. As long as we leave the northeast and arrive at the east, it will be the territory of the Lu family. The Song family wouldn't dare to make trouble there. Also, young Master Lu, you can show your identity, and you can be escorted by any big family. It will be safer for you." Yu Huashan and Ming Yu's eyes glowed. Han Wuxin was right. If the Song family were to mess around after they left the northeast, they would anger the big families at the east. What was more, the east was the territory of the Lu family. All Lu Li had to do was shout, and the big families at the east would come to protect him. "Young master, hang in there," Mingyu said to Lu Li. Lu Li nodded but didn't say anything after hearing Han Wuxin's word. After resting for 2 hours, they set off in the middle of the night. They teleported for an entire night and arrived at a prefectural city at dawn. Luli couldn't stand it anymore. He threw up on the ground. Han Wuxin didn't know what to do. Luli's realm was too low. Even though he had consumed soul crystals for some time and his soul had been strengthened, he still couldn't stand the long-distance teleportation. How far are we from the east? Luli looked up at Han Wuxin after they rested for 2 hours. The latter thought about it and said, "If we teleport continuously, we will be there in another day and night. Let's go." Chapter 337. One Day and One Night. Luli had been throwing up all the way. There was nothing in his stomach, and all he had been drinking was some water. Therefore, he couldn't vomit anything out other than some bile and retch. After several days and nights without rest or sleep, Luli was exhausted to the extreme. That being said, when he learned that he had arrived at a big city at the east of the Central Plains, he was cheered up and he felt much better. It was dawn. The city was waking up. People were coming and going and it was getting livelier and livelier. This was a prefectural city called the Mountain City. It was controlled by the He family of a 5th-rank family. The He family was affiliated with the Palace of Ares, a 6th-rank force, which was affiliated with the Palace of Blue Lions, a 7th-rank force. The Palace of Blue Lions was one of the 3 7th-rank forces under the control of the Lu family. In other words, the He family was the subordinate of the subordinate of the subordinate of the Lu family. Luli had returned to the territory of the Lu family. His father was Lu Renhuang, the human sovereign realm of the Lu family. His status must be high. Luli was completely safe now. Let's have some rest. Luli exhaled after he heard Han Wuxin's introduction of the He family and the nearby forces. Luli went to a tavern to rest with the help of Mingyu. After he recovered a bit, Luli looked at Han Wuxin and said, "Lord Wuxin, go and find the city owner of this prefectural city. Tell him who I am and ask him to come and see me." Luli decided to stop the teleportation because it would cost him Xian crystals. There was still a long way to go to the Mystic Armor region. He would need a lot of Xian crystals. Now that he was at the territory of the Lu family, he could put his mind at ease. He could show his identity now. Who would dare to charge him Xian crystals in the teleportation at the east of the Central Plains? He could also use his identity as a disciple of the Lu family to get some powerful warriors here. It would be safer that way. Han Wuxin understood what Luli meant. His smile grew bigger. Luli had asked for help as soon as he arrived at the territory of the Lu family. It meant that he really was a disciple of the Lu family. Han Wuxin had made the right bet. Luli and the others rested in the tavern while Han Wuxin took Han Wuqing to see the city owner of the city. The Han family was a 6th-rank family and the city was under the control of a 5th-rank family. Even without Luli, the Han family could still find their way to the Han family. Yu Huashan and Mingyu were excited. With Luli going back to the Lu family, they would benefit greatly as well. The Lu family was one of the 12 most powerful royal families of the Central Plains. Luli fell asleep after a while. An hour later, Han Wuxin and Han Wuqing came back with an old warrior at the initial stage of the noble lord realm, He Yuan, the family patriarch of the He family. He Yuan didn't look young, but he was hale and hearty. Luli woke up and sat up. He looked at Luli, cupped his fists and said, "Young master, I heard that you are a disciple of the Lu family? May I ask who your father is?" Yu Huashan wanted to say Lu Renhuang's name, but he shut up after Luli threw him a glance. Luli said coldly, "You are not qualified to know my father's name. Teleport to the Palace of Ares right now and tell their master to come and see me." He Yuan was only at the initial stage of the noble lord realm, so he would not be of much help. The Palace of Ares was a 6th-rank force, and there must be more noble lord realm warriors in it. Their master was likely to be at the human sovereign realm. With the protection of the Ares Palace Lord, their journey would be smooth. Yuan frowned. Luli was boasting too much. Average disciples of the Lu family wouldn't dare to talk like this. That being said, Yuan didn't dare to offend Luli. He cupped his fists again and said, "Young master, can you please show me your ID token or use your bloodline skill? I don't have a high status and I don't think I can get Master Mo to come." If Luli had the ID token of the Lu family, then everything would be fine. Of course, if he could use the mystic armor skill, then he wouldn't waste any more time. Only disciples of the Lu family could have the mystic armor skill. Luli didn't panic even though he didn't have an ID token or the mystic armor skill. He said coldly, "I told you to do it. If the master of the Palace of Ares is here and I cannot prove that I am a disciple of the Lu family, then just let him kill me. Tell him my words. I am Luli and my father is the human sovereign realm warrior of the Lu family. If he doesn't come, then he will bear the consequences." Human sovereign realm warrior? Yuan frowned. There were many powerful human sovereign realm warriors in the Lu family, but he never heard that the patriarch had a son named Luli. More importantly, Luli was only at the Soul Pond realm. How could a disciple of the immediate Lu family at the age of 16 or 17 still be at this realm? The Lu family had been sealed off for 10 years and disciples of the Lu family were not allowed to go out. Where did this disciple come from? Okay. Young master, please wait for a moment. I will go to the Ares city now and I will be back in half a day. Yuan was just a family patriarch of a 5th-rank family. What could he say when there were 5 warriors of the noble lord realm standing next to Luli? What could he say? He had to make up his mind and leave. He was ready to send the message to the Palace of Ares in person. When the master of the Palace of Ares arrived, everything would be clear. Luli and the others stayed in the tavern to rest. Han Wuxin didn't want to teleport anymore. He had spent a lot of Xian crystals this time. Since Luli had sent someone over, Han Wuxin didn't want to waste money. Luli ate something and fell asleep again. He was exhausted. He was at ease now that he was at the territory of the Lu family. He wanted to have a good sleep and wait for the master of the Palace of Ares to arrive. It was late in the morning. The teleportation formation lit up. Yuhuashan and the others nodded to themselves as they saw the glow from the tavern's window. Yuan was a fast man. He had brought people from the Palace of Ares back in 4 hours? The glow dimmed down. 8 powerful warriors showed up. Yuhuashan, Han Wuxin and the others were surprised. None of the 8 was Yuan and they were all wearing illusions masked. Yuhuashan and Han Wuxin could feel it. Bang! When the 8 showed up in the teleportation formation, some of them poured out Xian energy and destroyed all the teleportation formations. Then, 8 streaks of psychic power scanned into the city. Another one soon locked onto Han Wuxin and the others in the tavern. Song He Song Fu. Han Wuxing's expressions turned gloomy. He thought quickly and shouted to Yuhuashan and Mingyu, "Take your young master and run. The Song family is out of their mind. How dare they come here to kill us?" Swish, swish, Yuhuashan and Mingyu turned pale. Without any hesitation, Mingyu grabbed Luli with one hand and released his bead of life. Then he released his bead of life, broke out the window with Yuhuashan, and flew toward the east of the city. "Go all out! Stop them!" Han Wuxin looked at Han Wuxing and the other elder, gritting his teeth and roaring. The Song family destroyed the teleportation formation just to catch them. If Han Wuxin and Han Wuxin didn't stop them, Yuhuashan and Mingyu wouldn't be able to escape. It was because the Song family destroyed the teleportation formation that Han Wuxin made up his mind to fight. Yuan had gone to the Palace of Ares. As soon as the teleportation formation was destroyed, the Ares city would know. The master of the Palace of Ares must be afraid that Luli would die, so he would come right away. Therefore Han Wuxin and Han Wuxin only needed to stop the Song family for a while. The Song family would be wiped out and Han Wuxin would gain the friendship of the Lu family. Han Wuxin decided to take another gamble. If he lost, then the three of them would have to stay at the mountain city forever. Charge! The 8 powerful warriors of the Song family locked onto Han Wuxin, Yu Huashan and Lu Li with their psychic power. An old man waved his hand and 4 warriors flew over to Han Wuxin, while the other 4 went after Lu Li. Chapter 338. They are fighting. The city was in chaos. 2 teams of noble Lord Realm warriors were fighting in the city. Many people would be killed if they accidentally hurt each other. Countless martial artists flew out from their courtyards, their faces filled with anger. How dare they start a battle in the city? Many civilians would be implicated. Who dares to mess around in the mountain city? 7 or 8 warriors of the Eternal Realm flew up on their fate wheels. He family only had 1 warrior of the noble Lord Realm. He Yuan had gone to the Ares city, so only warriors of the Eternal Realm could come out. Seeing the He family, Han Wuxin shouted angrily, Song Fu, Song He, how dare you? How dare you fight at the territory of the Lu family? Do you know who you are chasing? He is a disciple of the immediate Lu family. Song family is doomed. Wait for the Lu family to wipe you out. Han Wuxin's words were skillful. His words could not stop Song He from going after Lu family, but he could tell everyone in the city that they were from the Song family. They were making trouble at the territory of the Lu family and they were chasing a disciple of the immediate Lu family. Whether Lu Li was dead or alive, as long as Song He and the others dared to continue, they would be challenging the Lu family. In the future, the Lu family would seek revenge. The Han family and the Song family had fallen out. Naturally, Han Wuxin wouldn't have any concerns. The destruction of the Song family would make the Han family safer. Song Fu and Song He narrowed their eyes. They chose to fight here because they had no other choice. Han Wuxin moved so fast that the Song family didn't have time to plan. They had to teleport day and night to catch up. As far as the Song family was concerned, this was a prefectural city. Palace of Blue Lions and the Palace of Ares wouldn't say anything even if they hurt or killed some people. The worst that could happen would be compensation and an apology. After all, this was a prefectural city and the impact wouldn't be too bad. But now, Han Wuxin said that they were chasing a disciple of the immediate Lu family? That would be a serious crime. Everyone in the city had heard it. Were they going to massacre the entire city? Silence them? Killing civilians was a serious crime. The Palace of Heaven's roars would destroy them even before the Lu family did anything. If they didn't massacre the entire city, the news would spread, and the Song clan would take it as a fact that they were hunting down the Lu clan's disciples. The Lu clan wouldn't even need to do anything. The Palace of Blue Lions, a 7th grade force, could easily send a few people to destroy the Song clan. Song He was not an idiot. He didn't believe that Lu Li was a disciple of the Lu family. Everyone with the surname Lu was a disciple of the Lu family? Are all the people with the surname Jiang from the Jiang family of the Pavilion of Delicacy? He laughed mockingly. Han Wuxin, this is between the Han family and the Song family. Don't drag the Lu family into it. The Lu clan had sealed the city for 10 years, and the Lu clan's disciples had never come out. Were you trying to fool a child? People of Lu City, don't panic. We're only targeting the Han family. We'll give the Ares Palace an explanation after this. Han Wuxin flew over with his warriors and stood between the Song family warriors and Lu Li. He sneered and said, He Yuan, the city owner of the mountain city, has gone to the Ares city to invite the palace master of the Ares palace here. He is here to visit the disciple of the Lu family, Lu Li. Everyone in the city, you can testify that Song Fu and Song He of the Song family are trying to kill Lu Li, a disciple of the immediate Lu family. Later, when the Lu family sends someone here, you can testify. Song-hee, I suggest you turn back. The palace master of the Ares palace will be here soon. Bulsh *t. Song-fu, the warrior at the peak of the noble lord realm of the Song family, coldly shouted, "Don't waste time with them. They are stalling. Do it." The Song family warriors didn't believe that Lu Li was a disciple of the Lu family. If he were, he would have revealed his identity. Who would dare to touch him? Why would he need the protection of the Han family? At once, the purple mark on Song Fu's neck glowed. At the same time, he released his bead of life and rushed towards Han Wuching. Han Wuching didn't want to be outdone. The two of them flew up to the sky in a tacit agreement. Neither of them dared to kill civilians, or else the royal families would be exterminated. Civilians could not be killed. This was the rule set by the 12 royal families. Anyone that dared to do so would be killed by the 12 royal families. The Song family only sent 1 warrior at the peak of the noble lord realm, 3 at the later stage and 4 at the middle stage of the noble lord realm. This was enough. Lu Li had Han Wuching at the peak of the noble lord realm and another warrior at the later stage of the noble lord realm. Han Wuxin and Ming Yu were at the initial stage, and Yu Huashan was only at the middle stage. The Song family could win even if it was 5 against 5, not to mention 8 against 5. After all, the warriors of the Song family all had 7th rank bloodline, and they were at least at the middle stage of the noble lord realm. Han Wuxin and the other warrior of the Han family didn't dare to make a move inside the city either. They dashed towards Lu Li, ready to fight outside the city to stop Song-hee and the others from going after Lu Li. Even though the teleportation formation was destroyed, it wouldn't take long for the warriors of the Ares palace to come over. They would teleport to a nearby city and come over as soon as possible. It would take them an hour at most. As long as Lu Li could survive in that time, the Song family would win. Yu Huashan and Ming Yu had already rushed out of the city with Lu Li. Song-hee and the others were not worried at all. Yu Huashan and Ming Yu were so slow that the Song family could catch up with them easily. Song Yuan, as soon as we are out of the city, stall Han Wuxin. Song Qiao, come with me to go after that bastard. Song-hee told the 2 warriors next to him in a low voice. He was at the later stage of the noble lord realm. With another warrior at the later stage of the noble lord realm, killing Yu Huashan and Ming Yu would be a piece of cake. One of the warriors at the later stage of the noble lord realm nodded. As soon as they were out of the city, he waved his hand and the 4 warriors of the noble lord realm spread out. The purple mark on his neck glowed, and then many purple vines shot out from his body. The others did the same. Their bloodline marks glowed and vines shot out. They covered up the space nearby and weaved into nets, trapping Han Wuxin and Ming Yu. The Song family didn't want to fall out with the Han family. They just wanted Little White and the coffin of the Dragon King. Therefore, they didn't want to kill anyone this time. At least not Han Wuxin. Otherwise, the family patriarch of the Han family would lose his mind. The Song family was sure that Little White was at the Beast King level. Other families wouldn't be so crazy about a Beast King. But the Song family was different. One warrior of the Song family was reaching the end of his life. The Song family couldn't have another human sovereign realm warrior anytime soon. What's more, the Song family had offended a powerful enemy. Therefore, the Song family was in dire need of a powerful warrior. A Beast King could ensure the safety of the Song family for thousands of years, which was enough for the Song family to rise. Therefore, the Song family had made up their mind to get Little White. They didn't hesitate to spend countless Xian crystals to teleport and offend the Han family. Swish, swish, the purple vines were all over the sky. They intertwined and covered up the sky to the east of the city. This was the 7th rank bloodline of the Song family, the Wood origin. At the northeast of the Central Plains, this bloodline was known to be difficult to deal with. Break! From inside the net came an angry shout. Han Wuxin dashed out from the web-like vines with a golden soft sword in his hand. He used his profound meaning, the fourth rank profound meaning of gold. The golden sword in his hand was a holy grade Xian artifact. It was not just luck that he could break the vines. Seeing that Song He and another patriarch of the Song family, Song Qiao, were running towards Lu Li, Han Wuxin waved his soft sword at once. Several streaks of golden sword light forced back two patriarchs of the Song family. Han Wuxin controlled his bead of life to go after Song He and the others. Han Wuxin, you are not going anywhere. Take my dragnet. Song Yuan sneered. He slapped at the sky with one hand. A huge shadow of a palm suddenly appeared and smashed at the sky as if it was going to break the sky. The next second, the sky seemed to be broken. The space above Han Wuxin's head was shaking violently. Cracks appeared in the stable space. Chapter 339. The Ares city was the largest region city at the junction of the east and the northeast. The city had a history of more than 100,000 years, and it had always been occupied by the Palace of Ares, a sixth-rank force. There was a period of time when the Palace of Ares became a seventh-rank force, and once it was reduced to a fifth-rank force. But the Ares city had always been in the hands of the Palace of Ares, a testament to the wealth of the Palace of Ares. In the Ares city, He Yuan was asking to see the master of the Palace of Ares. But he could not see the master whenever he wanted. He could only see a patriarch at the peak of the noble lord realm, Patriarch 5 Emochio. Emochio frowned on hearing He Yuan's words. He thought about it and said, "Did that young man really say that? He is the son of a human sovereign realm warrior of the Lu family? I know all the human sovereign realm warriors of the Lu family. There is no young master this young. But there are grandchildren. Lu Li? I have never heard of this name." He Yuan could not figure out why Lu Li didn't show his token if he was a disciple of the Lu family. Everything would be clear as long as he showed his token. Also, why didn't he teleport himself? Why did he ask the master of the Palace of Ares to go? 16 or 17 years old, of the Soul Pond realm, no token, no King Kong bloodline? He has a bunch of warriors of the noble lord realm with him? Arrogant? Bear the consequences? Emochio murmured. He could not make up his mind. If Lu Li was just asking them to go, it would be fine. But now, Lu Li was asking their master to go? Let's go. Follow me to see the master. Emochio decided to be cautious. It had been 10 years since a disciple of the Lu family showed up. What if it was true? The Lu family at the eastern central plains was the supreme king. There would be endless troubles if a disciple of the immediate Lu family was offended. Emochio brought He Yuan into a magnificent castle and met Emo Yi, the master of the Palace of Ares. Emo Yi didn't look too old. He was a middle-aged man with a square head and big ears. He had a stocky build and strong chi and energy. He looked like an overlord. Emo Yi frowned after he heard Emochio's story. A glint of coldness rose in his big eyes. He thought about it for a while and snorted, "It is fake. I know all the human sovereign realm warriors of the Lu family. How can they have such a young son? I can count all the human sovereign realm warriors of the Lu family, and I know all the disciples of the immediate Lu family. None of them are called Lu Li. Fake." Emochio's eyes turned cold as he said with a murderous look, "Palace Lord, should I go take care of it?" The punishment that Emochio spoke of was naturally to kill them all. Impersonating a disciple of the Lu clan was a huge crime, and they were so arrogant that they even asked the Ares Palace Lord to go over? He couldn't take this lying down. "Wait!" Emo Yi waved his hand. He couldn't figure out why Lu Li wanted him to go. Let him go and expose his identity? And then kill him? Unless Lu Li was tired of living, he wouldn't do something so stupid. A Ren Huang of the Lu family? Mo went through all the warriors of the Renhuang realm in the Lu clan and all the disciples in the clan to see if he had missed anything. A moment later, a look of surprise appeared on his face as he murmured, "Could it be that he's the son of that lord? If that master got married and had children, then this youngster's age should be about the same." Mo blinked his eyes, not understanding. He asked in confusion, "Palace Master, who are you talking about?" Mo's eyes shone brightly as he said, "The true Emperor of Men, the most abnormal grandpa." Mo came to his senses. His expressions changed and his eyes flickered. After some thoughts he said, "If it is that master, then it is possible. That master has been missing for 20 years. Could it really be his son?" Yuan was confused, but he didn't dare to ask. Right at that moment, a jade talisman in his hand suddenly cracked. He shouted in alarm, "Something is wrong. The mountain city is in trouble." Whoosh! As soon as Yuan finished his words, a man in black came in. He cupped his fists next to Mo and said, "Master, all the teleportation formations at the mountain city have been destroyed. I heard that 8 powerful warriors of the Song family from the northeast are fighting at the mountain city." "How dare you?" Mo stood up. His horrifying qi and energy spread out, suffocating Yuan. Soon, Mo shouted, "Gather all the noble Lord Realm warriors and go to the mountain city at once. Second brother, you stay at the Ares city and I will go to the mountain city in person." There were 2 human sovereign realm warriors at the palace of Ares. Mo had sent another one to stay here, and all the other powerful warriors were mobilized. It was clear how much Mo valued Luli. Mo could not ignore it. If Luli was the son of the man he thought he was and Luli was killed at the mountain city, Mo believed that no one at the palace of Ares could survive. Whoosh, 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 the 23 warriors flew out and all of them were at the noble Lord Realm. 8 of them were at the peak of the noble Lord Realm. Mo flew out with Mo and dashed toward the teleportation formation. The entire Ares castle was in an uproar. It was the first time in years that Mo had mobilized so many powerful warriors. He sounded furious. Many people were discussing about what was going on. The 23 warriors arrived at the plaza. An old man asked, "Master, what happened? Don't ask so many questions." Mo rushed into a teleportation formation and shouted, "Activate the teleportation formation. You go to the cities near the mountain city, and get there as fast as you can. The teleportation formation at the mountain city has been destroyed. When you get there, protect a young man named Luli. Kill anyone who tries to kill him." "Yes." The 23 warriors shouted and rushed to several teleportation formations. Even though the teleportation formation at the mountain city had been destroyed, the ones in the nearby cities were fine. It wouldn't take long for them to teleport there and then get there. After all, warriors of the noble Lord Realm were fast. Rays of light shot up to the sky. Mo and the others disappeared into the teleportation formation. Soon, the city was filled with noises and people were trying to guess what had happened. Mo and Mo arrived at a prefectural city near the mountain city and teleported to the nearest county. It would take Mo the time for 2 incense sticks to burn to get there from that county. After 2 teleportations, Mo arrived at the nearby county. He didn't worry about Mo anymore. He released his bead of life and rushed toward the mountain city at a horrifying speed. "People of the Song family, how dare you!" While flying, Mo shouted. The Song family had already committed a taboo by destroying the teleportation formation. How dare they go after Luli now? If Luli really was that man's son, then the Song family would be destroyed regardless of whether Luli was alive or not. The county that Mo teleported to was at the north of the mountain city. He flew at the top of his speed. In the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, he could see the north city wall of the mountain city. Bang, 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 bang! Above the mountain city, Song Fu and Han Wuqing were still fighting. They were fighting with each other. Both released powerful profound meaning attack. The space around them cracked and the horrifying chi and energy terrified the civilians down there. Luckily, both of them knew when to stop. They controlled their attacks so that the cities down there wouldn't be affected. Otherwise, there would have been a river of blood. Stop! Mo Yi shouted from the distance. His voice was like a dragon's roar and a tiger's roar. His powerful chi and energy made people feel like he was the sun. Human sovereign realm? Song Fu's attack stopped. Han Wuqing was overjoyed. Mo Yi came from the distance like a comet and shouted, "Where is Lu Li?" Song Fu's face turned pale. Han Wuqing shouted at once, to the east. "Lord, go and save him. Many people of the Song family are going after him." "Good. Song family, you will be wiped out." Mo Yi didn't attack Song Fu. Leaving behind an earth-shaking roar, he turned into a meteor and rushed towards the east. What? Chapter 340. Lu Li, Ming Yu and Yu Huashan were more than 300 miles away from the mountain city. Unfortunately, Yu Huashan and Ming Yu were not fast enough. Song He and Song Qiao had caught up with them. Yu Huashan threw Lu Li to Ming Yu. His eyes glowed red as he shouted, "Ming Yu, run with young master. I will stall them for a bit." Yu Huashan was quite good at defense. His spark's profound meaning combined with his bloodline skill made his defense much stronger than Ming Yu's. If Ming Yu were to stay, he wouldn't be able to hold on for long. Ming Yu didn't waste any time. He carried Lu Li and flew on. Lu Li looked at Song He and Song Qiao who were flying over from the distance. He shouted in rage, "Song He, how dare you touch my man? I will destroy your entire family in the future." "Ha ha ha ha, if you want to wipe out the Song family you must survive today." Song He laughed, not minding Yu Huashan's words. He saw the bloodline mark on Yu Huashan's neck glowed, and so did his own. So did Song Qiao. "Prairie fire!" Yu Huashan shouted in a deep voice. Fireballs flew over, sweeping towards Song He and Song Qiao from all directions. Song He sneered. He moved and left behind a series of shadows. His speed suddenly sped up. Not even Yu Huashan could see where he was. When Yu Huashan checked with psychic power, he found that Song He had gone past him and was going after Ming Yu and Lu Li. "Song Qiao, I will leave him to you." Song He's voice came from the distance. He had never thought about fighting with Yu Huashan. His purpose today was to kill Lu Li and take Little White and the coffin of the Dragon King. Killing the others was secondary. Song He wouldn't waste time on Yu Huashan. Song He's body skill was similar to Lu Li's apparition skill. There were shadows all over the sky. However, Song He's were shadows while Lu Li's were clones. Song He's sudden increase in speed caused people's vision to hallucinate, forming many afterimages. "Stop!" Yu Huashan was shocked. Ming Yu was only at the initial stage of the Noble Lord realm. Once Ming Yu caught up with him, both he and Lu Li would die. Yu Huashan chased after Song He with all his might. He shot out fire dragons towards Song He. "He, your speed is not good enough." Song He's cold laughter came from afar. His speed increased again, and his body turned into a series of afterimages. Yu Huashan's fire dragon could only shatter the shadows one by one. He could not catch up with Song He. "Your opponent is me." Song Qiao sneered. He released his bloodline skill. The branches of the tree grew longer all of a sudden, reaching up to the sky and trapping Yu Huashan inside. "Starfire burns the sky." Yu Huashan shouted in rage. Flames surged into his bead of life from his bloodline mark, and then turned into blue flames, spreading to all directions. The branches that were flying toward him were all set ablaze. His body shot out, but the countless vines in the sky were like 10,000 poisonous snakes that shot towards him, and in an instant, he was entangled again, It's over. The Song family bloodline skill was too tricky to deal with. Song Qiao was at the later stage of the Noble Lord realm, and was quite powerful. Lu Li couldn't even get away, let alone kill Song Qiao. Song He was on his way. Could Lu Li and Ming Yu survive the attacks of warriors at the later stage of the Noble Lord realm? Whoosh! Lu Li and the others had just run for more than 10 miles when they heard a noise coming from behind them. Lu Li looked back, only to see a sky full of shadows. Song He had caught up with them. Shadows? Apparition? Lu Li blinked his eyes in confusion. Song He's afterimages were all over the place. It looked like he was using apparition. Mingyu scanned with psychic power and found out where Song He was. He could tell at once that this was different from apparition. It was just that when Song He's speed reached a certain limit, it was just an illusion. The enemies had caught up. Mingyu had no other choice but to fight till the end. He threw Lu Li forward and shouted, "Young master, run. I will hold them off." Lu Li was smashed away for more than 300 feet and landed on a small hill in the distance. Mingyu unsheathed his sword and released his bead of life at the same time. He shouted, "Force suppress." The surrounding winds and clouds moved, and a powerful spatial force pressed down, suppressing Song He. Song He's flying body slowed down. Mingyu waved his long sword, shooting out rays of silver sword light that tore through the air and headed straight for Song He. "Small fry," Song He sneered. The purple mark on his neck glowed. Then many vines came out from his body. The vines intertwined and formed a huge round shield in front of Mingyu. Bang, 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 the ray of sword light landed on the shield of vines, shredding many vines. However, there were dozens of layers of vines. The ray of sword light only managed to tear apart several layers of vines before it ran out of energy and disappeared. Go! Some of the vines that Song He controlled missed. Ming Yu's force, which had suppressed the space nearby, collapsed at once. Song He moved around Ming Yu in a blur, trying to kill Lu Li. Suppress! Ming Yu would not let Song He break through. He released force again and shot out several rays of sword light. This time, there was a golden glow in the front of the ray of sword light, which made the ray of sword light sharper. This was a Xian skill that Ming Yu had learned recently. It could add some golden energy to the ray of sword light, which could increase the power of attacks. But he hadn't mastered it yet, so he didn't use it. Piss off! Song He slowed down again. He flew into a rage. First, he released a shield made of vines to block Ming Yu's ray of sword light. Then, he intertwined some vines together and turned them into a huge whip. Swish! The whip cut through the sky like a dragon's tail. It broke Ming Yu's force that suppressed the space. With a horrifying chi and energy, the whip moved toward Ming Yu abruptly. Bang! The whip was so fast. There was a purple and green glare on it. It contained some unknown power. The whip landed on Ming Yu at once. Ming Yu's heaven-ranked Xian artifact battle armor shattered layer by layer. His body was thrown forward and smashed into a small hill, causing the hill to shake and the rocks to crack. Whoosh! Song He left Ming Yu alone. He chased after Lu Li, leaving only a blur behind him. However, as soon as he started flying, another surge of energy came down from the sky. Ming Yu shot out from the hill. His body was badly mutilated. His eyes were filled with determination, as if he was telling Song He in a silent way, if he wanted to kill Lu Li, he must step over his dead body. Ming Yu looked at Song He but used his psychic power to check behind him. He wanted to see how far Lu Li had gone. Unexpectedly, he found that Lu Li didn't run at all. He was standing on a hill about 300 feet behind Ming Yu, watching the fight with a silly look on his face. Ming Yu suddenly looked back to Lu Li and shouted, "Young master, what are you doing? Run now!" So many people were risking their lives to stop the pursuing warriors, just to let Lu Li run away. They were trying to buy time for the warriors of the palace of Ares to arrive. How could Lu Li just stand there like a fool? Ha 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 ha! Song He laughed sarcastically. How far could a warrior of the Soul Pond realm go? The young man was standing in the hill in confusion. He must be scared out of his wits. Since you want to die, I will send you to hell first, and then I will send your young master to accompany you. Chapter 341. Of course, Luli was not scared out of his wits. He would not be so stupid as to stand here and wait for death, letting the Han family warriors, Yu Huashan and Ming Yu, die in vain. He was not giving up because he knew he could not escape. He was not a man who would give up easily. Even in a hopeless situation, he would give it his all. The reason why he was standing here like an idiot was that he wanted to give it his all. When he saw Song He's movement technique that turned into an afterimage, he inexplicably understood something. He had been studying the mirror image profound meaning for a long time, and he had made some progress. But there were still two key points that he had not figured out. Maybe it was the crisis of life and death that stimulated his potential, or maybe it was Song He's movement that inspired him. At this moment, Luli had a feeling that he was enlightened, as if he could see the blue sky through the clouds. At that moment, he made up his mind to try his best and try to study the mirror image profound meaning to see if he could succeed. Once he did, he would be able to integrate the apparition skill. Not even warriors at the peak of Noble Lord Realm could tell which one was him. By then, he could run away with the apparition skill. Swish, swish, Song He made a move. This time, he generated several huge whips, which transformed into several long tails of dragons and swept at Mingyu. Mingyu quickly took out a heaven-grade Xian artifact armor and put it on. At the same time, he released force. He waved his sword and shot out rays of sword light to attack the purple and green whips. Bang, 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 the whips were slowed down by force. They were hit by Mingyu and bounced off. Many rays of sword light were shot into the mountains nearby, cracking them open. Gravel flew everywhere, dust billowed, and sounds of explosions came one after another. Mingyu was fast and he was dodging in midair. That being said, his realm was too low and his force was only of the second rank. For Song He it was too weak. Swish, a long whip still struck Mingyu. The heaven-tier battle armor that he had just put on exploded again, and his body was sent flying again. Blood sprayed out from his body, and the sky was filled with a rain of blood. Song He was at the later stage of the Noble Lord Realm with a 7th rank bloodline. Clearly, he had learned a profound meaning. Even though Mingyu could not tell what rank he was sure that he was more powerful than Mingyu. Whoosh! Mingyu came again and shouted to Luli at the same time, "Young master, run!" Luli didn't run away. He didn't even react, as if he didn't hear Mingyu. At this moment, he actually closed his eyes and stood on the hill like a stone statue. Bang! Mingyu was soon smashed to the ground. This time, he did not have a heaven-grade Xian artifact battle armor. Many of his bones were broken and he was covered in blood. He looked at Luli, who was standing still, and sighed to himself. It seemed that they were going to die here. He made up his mind and dashed towards Luli. He wanted to see how Luli was and try his best to help Luli. Hee. Seeing Mingyu flying towards Luli, Song He followed up slowly. In his eyes, Mingyu and Luli were just two puny insects that he could crush at any time. Young lord! Mingyu rushed to Luli's side and shouted. He didn't even take any healing pellets. He was going to die anyway. He shouted, but Luli didn't respond. Mingyu had no choice but to stand in front of Luli with his sword in his hand. Looking at Song He, who was flying over slowly, Mingyu shouted, "Song family, my young master is a disciple of the immediate Lu family. If you kill him, the Song family will be wiped out by the Lu family." "I Song He am a coward," Song He sneered. Once again, he released 5 whips made of vines and smashed them at Luli and Mingyu. Whoosh! Fearing that the whips would hit Luli, Mingyu had to fly up. While releasing his force, he shot out golden and silver sword rays. Unfortunately, he was badly injured and his abilities were weakened. How could he survive Song He's attack? Bang! Mingyu's body was smashed down heavily, smashing into the waist of the small mountain. This time, he didn't even have the strength to fly up. Song He's whips reached Lu Li in an instant. But Song He didn't kill Lu Li right away. Instead, he spread out the whips and entangled Lu Li. Song He himself flew down and locked onto a small beast in Lu Li's sleeve with his psychic power. Squeak squeak, Little White made a move. It flew out from Lu Li's sleeve, opened its mouth and bit at the purple vines. The vines were tough. Mingyu's sword rays could only tear a few vines apart before the energy was exhausted. However, in Little White's mouth, the tough vines were like ordinary twigs. Little White bit off all the vines that were entangled around Lu Li. Little White bit off all the vines that were entangled around Lu Li while screaming at Song He. "You really are something special." Song He was overjoyed. He landed on the small mountain and looked at Xiao Bai with a passionate gaze. He said softly, "Little fellow, don't be afraid. Follow me back. Our Song family can satisfy you with anything you want." Whoosh, Song He moved and a pair of black gloves appeared on his hands. He grabbed at Little White at a horrifying speed, trying to grab it and bring it back. As for Lu Li, Song He ignored him. What threat could a warrior of the Soul Pond realm pose? Song He could kill Lu Li at any time. 6 feet, 1 foot. Lu Li opened his eyes all of a sudden. There was a cold glare in his eyes. He hid his right hand behind his back quietly. With a white glare, there were 2 of him and then 4 of him. In an instant, there were more than a dozen of him. The more than a dozen Lu Li rushed toward Song He. They were only 3 feet away from each other. As soon as Lu Li moved, he felt countless people were rushing toward Song He and surrounding him. Song He raised his eyebrows. An idea came to his mind. How could this young man know such advanced Xian skills? He reacted quickly. He released his psychic power, trying to locate the real Lu Li and take him down at once. He never thought about retreating. As far as he was concerned, a warrior of the Soul Pond realm couldn't hurt him even if he attacked him. He was wrong, ridiculously wrong. His psychic power could not tell which one was the real one. Also, at this moment, he felt a sense of fatal danger from the depth of his soul. This kind of danger came out of nowhere. He was wearing a heaven-grade Xian artifact armor and was powerful. How could a warrior of the Soul Pond realm pose a fatal danger to him? Swish, swish, the next moment, he finally knew where the danger came from. More than a dozen clones were rushing toward him, and they all swung their right hands that were hidden behind their back. To be more precise, it was not a hand but a beast claw, a beautiful beast claw with a silver glare. Bang! The armor on his back suddenly exploded. He didn't even have the time to block the attack. A sharp claw ruthlessly pierced into his body, directly crushing his heart into pieces. No, only now did Song He come to his senses. He shouted hysterically. A huge saber suddenly appeared in his hand. He hacked at the real Lu Li behind him. He wanted to take Lu Li down with him even if he had to die. Mingyu, suppress. Little White, bite him to death. Lu Li shouted. Mingyu was not far away. Hearing Lu Li's roar, Mingyu released his force out of instinct and suppressed both Song He and Lu Li. Whoosh, Song He was slowed down, but Little White wasn't affected. It flew out in a blur and climbed onto Song He's neck. Little White bit off Song He's neck. His head rolled down and rolled on the ground. His eyes were still wide open. He died with everlasting regret. Song He dead. Chapter 342. Song He, a warrior at the later stage of the Noble Lord realm, was dead. His head was still rolling on the ground. His eyes were wide open, filled with shock and confusion. Even at the moment of his death, He could not believe that he died in the hands of a young man of the Soul Pond realm, a 16 or 17-year-old kid. To Song-hee, Luli was no different from a baby. Warriors at the later stage of the Noble Lord realm had a long lifespan. They were like children in their teens. Attacks from warriors at the Soul Pond realm were just like scratching an itch for them. Not only Song-hee, but Mingyu, who was using his divine telekinesis to monitor the situation, was also in disbelief. Luli had a powerful bloodline skill. He knew that the Silver Beast Claw could crush Heaven-grade Xian artifact and the body of any warrior of the Noble Lord realm. The problem was, warriors of the Noble Lord realm had fast reactions. Theoretically speaking, Luli should have been killed before he could get close. Just now, Mingyu did not use his spiritual force. When he was smashed into the small mountain, he could not see the top of the small mountain. It was not until Luli told him to use force that he came to his senses and used psychic power. Of course, he had seen Luli's clones. But he realized something. He could not tell where Luli was. What did this mean? It meant that Luli had learned the skill of the demon and the mirror image profound meaning. He had a cloning skill that even Noble Lord realm warriors could not tell him apart. Even so, Mingyu was still confused. How did Luli kill Song-hee? After all, warriors at the later stage of the Noble Lord realm had powerful abilities. Theoretically speaking, Song-hee should be able to dodge Luli's attacks easily even if he had demon skills and bloodline skills. In fact, Song-hee was not killed by Luli, but by his own arrogance. The moment Luli moved, he never thought about retreating or dodging. He felt a warrior of the Soul Pond realm could not hurt him. Then, Luli sneaked up on him from behind. He knew he was in mortal danger, but he didn't run away at once. He wanted to find out who Luli was and kill him in one move. This was like a strong man seeing a baby walking over with a wooden sword. He didn't care at all. When the baby stabbed him with the wooden sword, he still did not retreat, thinking that the wooden sword had stabbed him. Who would have thought that the wooden sword could cut through iron as if it was mud? The baby's casual stab had pierced through his heart. At the last moment, Mingyu and Little White cooperated well. Otherwise, Luli would have been killed by Song-hee in one move. Even though Song-hee's heart was crushed, how could Luli defend himself when he was about to die? Whoosh whoosh, Luli was gasping for air. He had just felt the danger of death. He had taken a huge risk this time. Originally, he wanted to escape after comprehending this divine skill. At the last moment, he was lucky enough to comprehend the mirror image profound meaning and easily fuse it with the apparition mystic skill. However, he was not proficient enough, so he could only create a dozen or so clones. He could have escaped. After all, a dozen doppelgangers were enough to confuse Song-hee. In the end, he chose to take a gamble and killed Song-hee. Because if he escaped, Mingyu would die. He panted for a moment and wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Then, he grinned at Xiaobai and said, "Xiaobai, well done." Squeak, squeak, Little White cried out nonstop. It was very excited, like a child that had been praised. Luli put away Song-hee's saber and his interspatial ring. After some thoughts, he put Song-hee's head into the interspatial ring as well. Whoosh, Luli flew over, dug Mingyu out from the cave and fed him some healing pellets. Looking at Mingyu, who was covered in blood, Luli asked solemnly, "Are you okay?" Looking into Luli's eyes, Mingyu understood what Luli meant. After some thoughts, Mingyu took out an ancient chariot from his ring. Luli and Mingyu hopped on, and Mingyu controlled the chariot to go back the way they came. That was right. Instead of running away, Luli chose to go back. Mingyu understood. Luli wanted to go back and save Yu Huashan. He might not kill the other Noble Lord realm warrior of the Song family, but he could at least save Yu Huashan's life. Yu Huashan was Luli's slave and they used to be enemies. But after spending so much time together, Luli no longer held any grudge against him. Instead, he felt a sense of friendship. Just now, Yu Huashan left Lu Li to Ming Yu and stayed behind without any hesitation. Lu Li was touched by this. He now regarded Yu Huashan as a friend. At this moment, Lu Li was ready to risk his life for Yu Huashan because he was confident now. At least, if he was careful, Song Qiao wouldn't be able to kill him. Combining the mirror image profound meaning with apparition, Lu Li could generate more than a dozen clones at any time. Together with the Blood Claw skill, Lu Li had the ability to fight. Killing Song He had boosted Lu Li's confidence. The most important thing was that Lu Li and Ming Yu believed the warriors of the Palace of Ares would be here soon. Therefore, they only needed to go there to buy some time to save Yu Huashan. Of course, it was still dangerous. After all, Ming Yu was badly injured and Lu Li's realm was too low. One wrong move and he might be killed. Ming Yu chose to respect Lu Li's decision. He knew Lu Li very well. Once he made up his mind, not even 9 bulls could change his mind. Even though Ming Yu was badly injured, he could still use force on the ancient chariot. If worse came to worst, he could stall Song Qiao and Lu Li would have a chance to escape. The two of them quickly flew back the way they came. They didn't go far anyway. In just a moment, they arrived at the battleground. It's okay, it's okay. Lu Li and Ming Yu could hear Yu Huashan's angry roars from the distance. They were relieved. As long as Yu Huashan was still alive, he could recover from his wounds. Even if he lost his limbs, he could find some elixirs to grow them back. Young master, let's wait and see. Don't worry. The warriors of the Palace of Ares will be here soon. Ming Yu tried to persuade Lu Li. Lu Li nodded. He couldn't let Ming Yu die just to save Yu Huashan. Ming Yu controlled the chariot to fly downwards. They passed through the hills silently and hid behind one. They continued to listen to the noises and judge the situation. Boom, boom, boom. Clearly, the situation was not good. From time to time, there would be some sounds of explosion and Yu Huashan's muffled groans. After a while, Yu Huashan's angry roars came again. He was like a trapped beast. Kill me if you have the guts. Kill me, Yu Huashan shouted. Lu Li and Ming Yu looked at each other. It seemed that Yu Huashan was not in a bad situation. He was in a hopeless situation. Soon, Song Qiao's voice came. Ha ha ha, if you want to die, I will grant your wish. I will suck all of your life force dry and turn you into a dried corpse. Do it. Lu Li could not sit still anymore. He looked at Ming Yu who had to control the chariot to fly towards the battlefield like a shooting star. As soon as they got out of the hill, Lu Li and Ming Yu looked over. They saw a net made of vines. Yu Huashan's angry roars were coming from there. As soon as they came out, Song Qiao and Yu Huashan scanned over with psychic power. Yu Huashan shouted again, "Young master, don't worry about me. Run." Song Qiao was surprised. Didn't Song He go after Lu Li and Ming Yu? How could the two of them escape Song He's pursuit? Run? Where? Lu Li looked at Song Qiao with a bitter expression and said, "The Song family warriors are everywhere. We cannot run. Lord, let my man out. We surrender and we will go back to the Song family with you." Chapter 343. When the two sides were not equal in strength, no amount of resistance would work. When one side was not that much weaker than the other, there was a chance to turn defeat into victory. Of course, if one side wanted to win, he would have to resort to clever tricks. The only way for Lu Li to kill Song Qiao was to get close to him and create a good chance for a sneak attack. His blood claw was strong and could tear apart the body of a warrior of the noble lord realm. But he had to get close to the enemy or else he would be killed. His face was crestfallen, and he looked like he had admitted defeat. Ming Yu was not an idiot either. The two of them echoed each other. Ming Yu was covered in blood, so he looked like he was going to die. However, the chariot didn't stop for one bit and kept moving closer to Song Qiao. Song Qiao was confused and so was Yu Huashan. Song Qiao was wondering where Song He was. Why didn't they show up together? How did the two of them manage to retreat? Yu Huashan was wondering why Lu Li surrendered. This was not Lu Li's style. Mingyu was not like this either. Song Qiao and Yu Huashan soon came to their senses. Yu Huashan had figured it out, but Song Qiao was on guard. The chariot was more than 1,000 feet away from him. Stop! Song Qiao shouted. The bloodline mark on his neck glowed. He was ready to take action at any time. He was not an idiot since he could reach the later stage of the Noble Lord realm. The fact that Song he was not here was the biggest flaw. Lu Li looked at Mingyu, who stopped the chariot. Lu Li cupped his fists and said, "Lord, please let go of my man first. Whatever the Song family wants, I'll give it to them. Don't you just want Xiao Bai? I will give it to you." A small beast flew out from Lu Li's sleeve and stood on Lu Li's shoulder. Song Qiao's eyes glowed. But he didn't let his guard down. He said coldly, "Where is brother Song He? Didn't he go after you guys? Where did he go?" "Over there." Lu Li pointed to where they came from and said, "He is fighting against Han Wuqing. That Song Fu of yours is over there as well." Lu Li's explanation was reasonable. Song Qiao let his guard down a bit. He stared at Little White and shouted, "Give me the beast and I will let go of your man." Capturing Little White was the purpose of the Song family's visit this time. Other things were not so important. Lu Li shook his head and said, "Let him go first or I will die with Little White." All right. Song Qiao was confident that he was powerful and Yu Huashan was extremely weak at the moment. Song Qiao was not afraid at all. He waved his hand and the intertwined vines opened up layer by layer, revealing Yu Huashan, who was wrapped up like a meat dumpling. Yu Huashan was in a miserable state. The Wood Origin bloodline could not only trap people, but it could also absorb their life force. Yu Huashan was entangled. His life energy was being drained away. He had aged dozens of years at the moment and he was extremely weak. "Young lord, don't worry about me," Yu Huashan shouted again. He was still entangled by some vines. He struggled with all his might, but he was unable to break free from the vine's restraints. He looked extremely weak. "Give me the little beast and I'll let him go immediately," Song Qiao said proudly. "Actually, it doesn't matter whether we kill you or not. We have no grudges against each other. We just want this little beast." "All right." Lu Li seemed to have accepted his fate. He looked at Mingyu, who controlled the chariot to fly forward slowly. Lu Li looked at the little beast and said, "You must treat Little White well. It likes to eat soul crystals. Little White is a beast king and it has a bad temper. You must spoil it." Lu Li kept on talking. His words were full of grievances, like a mother who was about to marry off her daughter. Song Qiao's eyes lit up when he heard Lu Li say that Little White was a beast king. 800 feet, 500 feet. Song Qiao finally came to his senses. He shouted angrily, "Stop, throw it over!" "Catch!" Lu Li grabbed Little White and threw it to Song Qiao. Song Qiao's eyes lit up. His bead of life glowed as he flew toward Little White. Squeak, squeak, however, Little White seemed to be a little afraid. Its body flashed and actually flew downward. Its speed was very fast, reaching the limit, comparable to an imperishable realm martial artist. "Little guy, don't be afraid." Song Qiao's mind was occupied by Little White. He didn't mind Lu Li and Mingyu. He flew downwards to catch Little White. Right at this moment, the chance that Lu Li had painstakingly built finally came. He made a gesture to Yu Huashan and flew down from the chariot. "Hoi!" Mingyu made a move. He gathered Xian energy and smashed at Lu Li's back. Instead of attacking Song Qiao, Mingyu smashed at Lu Li's back. Bang! Lu Li was hit on the back. Luckily, he was protected by the heaven-grade armor, so he was not seriously injured. However, he spat out some blood and flew toward Song Qiao like a cannonball. Mingyu controlled his strength well, so Lu Li was only slightly injured. Mingyu and Lu Li had already made eye contact. Mingyu's move was to help Lu Li get closer to Song Qiao. Song Qiao had just flown downwards when he sensed Lu Li coming. He looked up and his eyes grew cold. Xian energy glowed in his hand. He was ready to kill Lu Li. Boom! There came a sound of explosion. Yu Huashan's weak body was on fire and the vines were burnt up. He flew up and a saber appeared in his hand. He stabbed at Song Qiao like a beast. Buzzing. At the same time, the ring on Lu Li's hand glowed as a human head appeared. Lu Li smashed at the head and said with a cold smile, "Your brother Song, he is here. Take this." A head covered in blood was smashed at Song Qiao. It rolled around in the air. The eyes of the head would stare at Song Qiao every now and then, making Song Qiao's soul tremble. Swish, swish, Mingyu's aura was here. The winds and clouds in heaven and earth changed. A surge of vast heavens might press down and pressed Lu Li down. Song Qiao's body was inevitably pressed down as well. Yu Huashan, Lu Li, Mingyu and Little White, 3 people and 1 beast, worked together perfectly. It was a series of tricks. They led Song Qiao into a trap step by step and attacked his mind step by step. Song Qiao had no time to react and he could not fight back effectively. "Apparition!" Lu Li shouted. Mingyu played along and weakened Lu Li's force. In midair, Lu Li divided himself into 2 and then 4. Soon, there were more than a dozen clones. These dozen or so avatars could still move on their own. They charged at Song Qiao from all directions. All the clones had one thing in common. One of their hands was hidden in their sleeves and the palm could not be seen. "Go to hell," Yu Huashan bellowed. The saber in his hand spat out blue flames. With astonishing force, he hacked at Song Qiao's leg from the bottom up. Song Qiao had been distracted by Lu Li's clones. Now, he came to his senses. Lu Li was only at the Soul Pond realm. How powerful could he be? Didn't Lu Li create so many clones to confuse and distract Song Qiao? Song Qiao was helping Yu Huashan. Yu Huashan was the main force and Lu Li was just bluffing. Song Qiao, who was at the later stage of the Noble Lord realm, reacted quickly. He released his bloodline skill of wood origin at once. Vines swept toward Yu Huashan, trying to trap him. Something is wrong. Just as he released the vines, he felt something was wrong. There was a sense of fatal danger in his mind. He looked up at once, only to see a beautiful silver claw reaching toward his head. A surge of cold qi and energy enveloped him. He felt like he was in an ice cellar. Bang! Chapter 344. Perfect! Mingyu exclaimed to himself. Yu Huashan was excited. Little White flew back and shouted in excitement. Another warrior at the later stage of the Noble Lord realm was killed. Mingyu couldn't find words to describe what he was feeling. He looked at Lu Li as if he was a monster. Of course, he also knew that if it weren't for him and Yu Huashan, Lu Li wouldn't have had the chance to kill Song Qiao. Just now, the 3 of them and Little White cooperated perfectly. First, they pretended to land and then they used Little White to arouse Song Qiao's greed. Song Qiao's attention was occupied by Little White. Lu Li successfully shortened the distance between them. Then, Yu Huashan worked together with Mingyu. Mingyu used force and Song He's head to confuse Song Qiao. Then, with Yu Huashan's help, Lu Li killed Song Qiao. These were all planned by Lu Li. Mingyu and Yu Huashan just watched from the sidelines. The result was gratifying. They killed Song Qiao at once. Blood rained down on Yu Huashan's head. He didn't mind. Instead, he looked at Lu Li with joy and said, "Young master, have you learned that skill?" In midair, Lu Li's clones disappeared one by one. He flew down and stood next to Yu Huashan. Little White hopped onto Lu Li's shoulder from the distance. Lu Li grinned and said, "Good luck." Impressive. Yu Huashan admired Lu Li from the bottom of his heart. A warrior of the Soul Pond realm could kill a warrior of the Noble Lord realm. No matter how Lu Li did it, the entire Central Plains would be in an uproar. The combination of the skill of the demon and the blood claw was amazing. That kind of skill was a freakish identity, while the blood claw was a freakish means of attack. The combination of the two was horrifying. Mingyu landed the chariot. Lu Li put away Song Qiao's interspatial ring, waved his hand and said, "Let's go. There are still many powerful warriors of the Song family." Whoosh! Right at that moment, from the west came three noises. Lu Li, Mingyu and Mingyu looked over and their expressions changed. Three warriors came from the west. All of them were wearing illusion's mask. Needless to say, they were warriors of the Song family. Han Wuxin and the others still could not stop the Song family warriors. More enemies were coming. It would be fine if there was only one. The three of them could work together to kill the Song family. Run! Yu Huashan and Mingyu didn't hesitate. Mingyu put away the chariot and Yu Huashan released his bead of life, grabbed the two and ran away. Brother Song He, Song Qiao? The three noble Lord Realm warriors caught up quickly. Seeing Song He's head and Song Qiao's body, their faces turned cold. They were filled with killing intent as they chased after Lu Li and the others at the top of their speed. Yu Huashan was indeed weakened. His speed had been greatly reduced. Mingyu was badly wounded and his speed was even slower. The three at the back were all at the middle stage of the Noble Lord Realm. Soon, the distance between the two sides was shortened. "We can't escape. Prepare to fight to the death." Lu Li saw that the people behind him were only a couple of miles away. He knew he could not run anymore. His eyes turned cold, and his mind spun quickly, trying to think of a way out of this situation. However, there were three of them. Even if he were much smarter than Lu Ling, he would not be able to come up with a solution. Yu Huashan stopped his bead of life and looked at Mingyu. The latter took out his bead of life, grabbed Lu Li and was about to run away. Yu Huashan was ready to risk his life to stop the pursuers so that Lu Li and Mingyu could escape. Lu Li shook his head and said, "There is no need to run. Yu Huashan cannot stop them. We might as well fight to the death." Mingyu thought about it and agreed. Yu Huashan's vitality had been drained and he was weakened. How could he stop the three? Mingyu threw Lu Li to the side and shouted to him, "Young master, run! We will all die with everlasting regret." Whoosh! The three behind Lu Li rushed over. Before they got close, Lu Li could feel the strong killing intent coming at him. The three's eyes were glowing red, making them look like demons. Whoosh whoosh, Lu Li came back and generated many clones. Letting Mingyu and Yu Huashan die while he ran away? That was not his principle. Go to hell. The three noble Lord Realm warriors of the Song family unsheathed their swords. They all released their bloodline skills and profound meanings and took out their weapons. Right at that moment, from the north came a cold snort. Then a ray of sunlight shone from the north. A surge of chi and energy like that of a primitive beast came from the north. The aura made Lu Li feel like he was a child facing a giant dragon. Not only Lu Li, Mingyu, Yu Huashan and the three warriors of the Song family had the same feeling. Nobody could move at this moment. It was not that the space was frozen, but their souls were suppressed by the horrifying chi and energy of the man. They all felt that if they dared to move, they would die immediately. That man was like a Buddha. There was a golden glow behind him. He was more than 30 miles away a moment ago. In just a few steps, he was already more than 1 mile away. He was wearing a golden robe. He had a square head and big ears. He was tall and strong with thick eyebrows and big eyes. He was like a god of war. Human sovereign realm. The warriors of the Song family, Mingyu and Yu Huashan, were shocked. Both sides were wondering which side this human sovereign realm warrior was on. When the human sovereign realm warrior looked at Lu Li, both Yu Huashan and Mingyu trembled in their bodies and souls. This human sovereign realm warrior was looking at Lu Li with gentleness. He was on their side. The moment Mo Yi saw Lu Li, his soul trembled as well. Lu Li wasn't wearing any mask. Mo Yi saw a handsome man in Lu Li's mind. Mo Yi was excited, but he didn't show it. He just smiled and asked, "You are Lu Li?" Lu Li felt relaxed and nodded. Mo Yi looked back to the three warriors of the Song family and asked, "You are from the Song family?" The three warriors of the Song family bowed. One of them said, "Are you Master Mo, Master of the Palace of Ares?" "I am Song Rong, the 10th patriarch of the Song family." "Our family patriarch," swish, swish. Before the Song family warrior could finish his words, Mo Yi took out a long sword. He swung it casually, and a ray of sword chi flashed by. Then 3 heads were cut off. And Ming Yu and Yu Huashan were scared. This human sovereign realm warrior killed people without saying anything? What a horrifying way of killing! He killed 3 warriors of the noble Lord Realm before they could react. Lu Li was scared as well. How powerful could a human sovereign realm warrior be? He killed people without batting an eyelid. He killed 3 warriors just because they didn't agree with each other. Mo Yi didn't even look at the 3 warriors. He didn't release his bead of life. He just flew in midair and said to Lu Li, "Young Master Lu Li, I am Mo Yi, the Master of the Palace of Ares. I'm sorry that I came late and frightened young Master. I'm ashamed." Lu Li nodded. Yu Huashan and Ming Yu were relieved. The crisis was over. With Mo Yi here, Lu Li's future would be smooth sailing. Lu Li said, "Master Mo, you are flattering me. You came just in time. If it weren't for you, the 3 of us would be in danger." "Thank you, Master Mo." Mo Yi smiled. After a pause, he asked, "Young Master, may I ask if your father is Lu Renhuang?" Lu Li, Yu Huashan, and Ming Yu were surprised. How did Mo Yi get it right? Lu Li nodded and didn't deny it. Seeing Lu Li nodding, Mo Yi flew down and stood in front of Lu Li. Then he got down on one knee in excitement and said, "Greetings, young master." Lu Li frowned. Why was Mo Yi so respectful? This was a human sovereign realm warrior. Could it be that he was old friends with Lu Li's father? P.S. Recommendation tickets are available every day and they are free. It would be a waste not to vote for them. Chapter 345. Lu Li came back to his senses after a while. He helped Mo Yi up and asked, "Master Mo, you know my father?" Mo Yi didn't say anything after he stood up. He used his psychic power to check around. After making sure that nobody was around, he said with a smile, "Not only do I know him, I once had the honor to follow our future family patriarch for half a month. Of the entire eastern central plains, everyone above the noble Lord Realm knows your father." Future family patriarch? Lu Li and the other 2's eyes glowed. Lu Li asked with confusion, "You mean, my father is the future family patriarch of the Lu family?" Lu Ling told Lu Li that his father was a disciple of the immediate Lu family, but she didn't mention that he was the future family patriarch. Ming Yu and Yu Huashan only knew that Lu Renhuang was from the Lu family, but they knew nothing else. Mo Yi asked with surprise, "Didn't our future family patriarch tell you about him?" Lu Li nodded. Mo Yi explained, "Not only is our future family patriarch the son of the Lu family patriarch, he is also the most talented genius of the Lu family, the most talented genius of the Central Plains in the past 100,000 years. He reached the human sovereign realm at the age of 20 and he could defeat all the warriors of the human sovereign realm." 20 Yu Huashan, Ming Yu and Lu Li were speechless. But Ming Yu understood why Lu Renhuang looked so young when he met him, 25 or 26 at most. Mo Yi thought about it and asked a question, "Young master, where is our future family patriarch? He has been missing for 20 years. During that time, the Lu family was going crazy trying to find him." Yu Huashan wanted to say something but Lu Li threw him a glance. Yu Huashan shut up immediately. Ming Yu was born to be indifferent. He wouldn't answer even if Lu Li asked, let alone talk. Lu Li thought about it and said, "We will talk about this later. Let's go back to the city first. There are people of the Song family at the mountain city. Okay. Mo Yi nodded. He took out a golden chariot and flew back to the mountain city with the others. Lu Li was relieved to have a human sovereign realm warrior with him. After a while, he asked with curiosity, Master Mo, how can you tell that I am Lu Renhuang's son? Mo Yi faintly smiled and turned his head to say, Let alone me, anyone who has seen your father can see it with a glance. Because you and your father look too much alike, too much alike. However, your father's temperament is different from yours. His appearance is sharp, and he has a convincing temperament. Anyone who sees him will willingly follow him and obey his orders, but he doesn't make people hate him. You look easygoing on the outside, which is the opposite of him. I see. Lu Li remembered the portrait Ming Yu showed him. Ming Yu said Lu Li looked very much like his father. He nodded to himself and said no more. This place was not far from the mountain city. Yu Huashan was not fast. Soon, Song He caught up with him. In less than an hour, Lu Li and the others arrived at the mountain city. Lu City was very calm. The battle had ended long ago. It wasn't that the Song clan took the initiative to stop the battle, but that the experts from Ares Temple had arrived. How could the Song clan still dare to act recklessly? Outside the eastern side of the city, Song Fu, Song Yuan and another noble Lord Realm warrior were standing in midair, surrounded by noble Lord Realm warriors. Han Wuxin, Han Wuqing and the others stood at the side. Everyone knew that Mo Yi had gone to chase after them, so they did not rush over and waited for Mo Yi to return. Master! Seeing Mo Yi coming back with Lu Li and the others, warriors of the Ares Temple bowed to him. Han Wuxin was relieved to see Lu Li. He grinned from the distance. Mo Yi nodded. He glanced over to Song Fu and the others and asked Lu Li, Young master, what should we do with the three of them? Song Fu and the other two's expressions changed. Mo Yi had come back, but Song He and the others were nowhere to be seen. They had a bad feeling. Song Fu made up his mind and said, Master Mo, we are from the Song family. I think you have heard of my family patriarch, Song Qi. We are in the wrong, but there might be some misunderstanding. Can we talk about it for the sake of my family patriarch? The Song family was also of the 6th rank and Song Qi was at the human sovereign realm as well. He was a famous figure at the eastern region. Mo Yi must have heard of Song Qi. Song Fu thought that since they were all from the 6th rank, killing them would mean that they would fall out with each other. When the two forces were at war, Mo Yi would have some scruples. Mo Yi acted as if he didn't hear Song Fu's words. He kept looking at Lu Li, waiting for Lu Li's order. Kill them! Lu Li was not a soft-hearted man. He would never think about his enemies. He would kill them first. Mo Yi nodded. He waved his hand without looking at Song Fu and the others. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! The more than 20 noble Lord Realm warriors made their moves at the same time. All of them released powerful profound meaning attacks. Song Fu and the other two were overwhelmed by the attacks before they could react. Boom, 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 it was as if the sun had exploded in midair. Song Yuan and the other noble Lord Realm warrior were smashed into pieces. Broken limbs were flying all over the place. Song Fu managed to hold on for a while before he was smashed into pieces as well. Among the more than 20 noble Lord Realm warriors of the Palace of Ares, there were 8 at the peak of the noble Lord Realm. How could Song Fu defend himself? The sound of the explosion shook heaven and earth, echoing in the sky. Dust billowed. Several layers of the ground were scraped off. Horrifying shockwaves spread to all sides, stirring up a gale. Let's go! Mo Yi controlled the chariot and flew Lu Li into the city. They landed in the He family's mansion. He Yuan had returned a long time ago. He welcomed them with respect and led them into the hall. Mo Yi didn't sit on the main seat and asked Lu Li to sit on it. Lu Li sat on it without hesitation. Ming Yu's wounds were under control now. Lu Li looked at Yu Huashan, who was badly injured, and said, He Yuan, take them to rest and tend to their wounds. Lu Li winked at Yu Huashan and Mingyu, warning them not to talk nonsense. He Yuan sent a patriarch to take them to rest. Han Wuxin and the other two exchanged some pleasantries with Emoyi. They knew that Emoyi had questions for Lu Li, so they left to rest. Emoyi sat in the first row. He waved his hand to let the more than a dozen noble Lord Realm warriors leave, leaving only several at the peak of the noble Lord Realm. Emoyi introduced them to Lu Li with a smile and asked, "Young master, where are you from? Does the Lu family know that you are back?" No. Lu Li didn't intend to hide this. After all, he wanted Emoyi to take him to the Lu family. Not only would it save him a lot of trouble, it would also save him a lot of Xian crystals. Lu Li frankly said, "I came here on my own. I don't know much about the Lu family. Don't ask about my father. Just take me to the Lu family. I will remember this." Lu Li didn't want to talk about Lu Renhuang because Lu Renhuang once fought with other human sovereign realm warriors at the northern desert. More importantly, Lu Renhuang was the future family patriarch of the Lu family, the most talented genius of the Central Plains in the past 100,000 years. Lu Renhuang had been missing for 20 years, and the Lu family didn't go to the northern desert to look for him? If the Lu family sent someone to the northern desert, they could easily find Lu Renhuang's whereabouts and then find the siblings. Lu Renhuang almost killed the old man of Heaven prison for Mingyu. It was not a secret among the big families at the northern desert. Lu Li still had many questions on his mind which forced him to be more careful. He wouldn't say anything about Lu Renhuang until he went back to the Lu family and saw the people closest to him. Emoyi didn't ask further since Lu Li didn't want to talk. After all, the Lu family would ask about Lu Li when he was sent to the Lu family. Chapter 346. Mingyu felt better after 3 days of rest. Yu Huashan took some elixirs and recovered a bit as well. However, since his life force had been absorbed, it would take a long time for him to recover. His battle prowess would not be affected. Emoyi had been accompanying Lu Li for the past couple of days. He held a banquet to welcome Lu Li and entertained Han Wuxin and the others. 3 days later, Lu Li decided to set off after he saw that the two were more or less recovered. Lu Li told them not to say anything about Lu Renhuang, not even the fact that they came from the northern desert. In short, he would be the one to do the talking, and the two of them could not talk about anything. Mingyu had a cold personality and was not a talkative person. Yu Huashan was Lu Li's sole slave. Since Lu Li had given the order, Yu Huashan dared not to say anything else. Lu Li didn't plan to take Han Wuxin and the others to the Lu family. After all, they would need Xian crystals to teleport. Now that Emoyi was escorting him, Lu Li's safety was guaranteed. It was pointless for Han Wuxin and the others to go with him. Lu Li borrowed 20 billion Xian crystals from Emoyi and gave them back to Han Wuxin with interest. After all, the three of them would need Xian crystals to go back and forth. Emoyi was generous. He sent someone to get 20 billion for Lu Li to give to Han Wuxin. He didn't say much, but he expressed that he would remember this kindness. Han Wuxin was a smart man. He wouldn't say anything even if Lu Li didn't give him 20 billion Xian crystals, let alone 20 billion. The identity of a disciple of the immediate Lu family was valuable. Lu Li valued friendship. As long as he was alive, he would rise sooner or later. The teleportation formation had not been repaired yet. Emoyi took out the iron-armored ship and flew them to the nearby county. Then they teleported to the prefecture and finally arrived at Ares City. Emoyi didn't continue to teleport. He took Lu Li off the ship and said that he wanted to give Lu Li a grand reception. Unable to resist Emoyi's enthusiasm, Lu Li led the others away. Emoyi wanted to invite all the family patriarchs of the 4th and 5th rank families nearby, but Lu Li refused. He didn't like these kinds of banquets in the first place. He just didn't want to offend Emoyi, or else he wouldn't have stayed in Ares City. After eating and resting for a day, they set off again the next day. Lu Li parted ways with Han Wuxin and the twins. Han Wuxin and the twins went back to the Mystic Fire region. However, the three of them did not take the teleportation formation. Instead, they chose to take a large merchant ship. This way, it would take more time, but it would not cost them too many Xian crystals. This time, Lu Li teleported directly to the Blue Lion City, where the Palace of Blue Lions, one of the 3 7th-rank forces affiliated to the Lu family, was located. The Blue Lion City was huge. He should be 150 years old. He was born later than your father. In his early years, he was obsessed with Wu Dao and never got married. Actually, I only met him once 30 years ago. I feel he is intimidating and he might be a bit old-fashioned. An image of an old-fashioned old man came to Lu Li's mind. Lu Li thought about it and asked, "How many brothers and sisters does my father have?" "I am talking about relatives." "No brothers," Mo Yi explained. "Your father is the only son and you only have one aunt. Your grandpa got married later but he is faithful. He only married your grandma and they have a son and a daughter. Your aunt's name is Lu Feishu. She is married to the young master of the Palace of Gods, a 7th-rank force. The Palace of Gods is also at the eastern central plains and is as famous as the Palace of Blue Lion." And a smile appeared on Lu Li's face. His aunt was his closest relative. He should pay her a visit when he got back. Then he asked, "Well, where is my grandma?" Mo Ye's expression turned gloomy. He shook his head and sighed. "Your grandma passed away more than a decade ago. I think the Lu family held a secret funeral. I got the news from the Palace of Blue Lions." "Oh." Lu Li's expression turned gloomy. Even though he didn't know much about his grandma, she was his closest relative and he didn't have the chance to meet her. More than a decade ago? His father should be at the northern desert. Lu Li sighed again, thinking that his father didn't know his mother was dead. Mo Yi forced a smile and said, "Young master, I am sorry for your loss. I think your grandma will be happy that you can go back to the Lu family. Your grandpa will be even happier to see you. Okay, get some rest. We will go to the Mystic Armor City tomorrow." Lu Li nodded and walked back to his room. This time, he couldn't fall asleep even more. He thought about how he would see his grandpa tomorrow and how the Lu family would react when they knew he was back. In a daze, Mingyu woke Lu Li up. It was already daylight. After some breakfast, Mo Yi took out the iron-armored ship and flew towards the Mystic Armor City. It would take more than 4 hours to fly there. The Mystic Armor City was sealed so no teleportation formation could be used. Flying was the only way. During the 4 hours, Lu Li was even more excited. He stood on the deck and gazed into the distance. Chapter 347. City of Mystic Armor. The largest city at the east, an ancient city with a history of more than 1,000,000 years. The Lu family had been occupying this city for 1,000,000 years. This was the largest city Lu Li had ever seen. As far as he could see, there were city walls and buildings. There was no end to it. The city walls were tall and thick, more than 1 mile high and dozens of feet thick. The city walls could not stop warriors from climbing over. That being said, the fact that they could build such a tall city wall was a testament to the wealth and power of the Lu family. The city of Mystic Armor has a radius of more than 300 miles, and there are 90 million residents here. This city has a history of more than 1,000,000 years. The city of Mystic Armor was in danger 3 times. The city was almost breached, but it was defended in the end. This city has always been in the hands of the Lu family. This is our royal city at the east. As long as the city is not breached, nobody will dare to mess around at the east. Mo Yi explained in a low voice. Lu Li was even more excited. Yu Huashan and Ming Yu exclaimed as well. This was the power of an 8th-rank family. They had occupied a super city for more than 1,000,000 years. They were closer, closer. The closer they were, the more Luli and the others were shocked by the magnificence of the city of mystic armor. There seemed to be something magical about the city that made people feel awestruck and pressured. Luli and the others saw the warriors standing on the city walls. All of them were wearing golden armors, and they were all at the Eternal Realm. There was one warrior every 50 feet, standing still like statues. Luli could not tell how many warriors there were on the city walls. Chilling. Even though the warriors were not emitting any chi and energy, there was a surge of chilling chi and energy that made people feel pressured. They dared not to make any noise or break in. Stop! Before the iron-armored ship got closer, a team of warriors flew down from the city walls. A warrior at the middle stage of the Noble Lord Realm came with 10 warriors of the Eternal Realm. They stood in midair and said in a cold voice, "The city of mystic armor is sealed. Nobody is allowed in." Luli said nothing. Mo-Yi flew down from the iron-armored ship, cupped his fists and said, "I am Mo-Yi, the master of Palace of Ares of the Palace of Blue Lions. I am here to see a patriarch of the Lu family for something important." Luli told Mo-Yi to keep a low profile so Mo-Yi didn't reveal Luli's identity. He wanted to find a patriarch of the Lu family to show him to the city first. The palace lord of the Ares Palace, a 6th-rank force, was at the Renhuang Plain. At least he could be considered a big shot. The noble Lord Realm leader didn't show any emotion. He said coldly, "No. I said the city is sealed. Not to mention you, even the elders of the Blue Lion Palace wouldn't meet them. The elders have already given the order to not see anyone." Mo-Yi frowned and looked at Luli, who nodded. Mo-Yi cupped his fists again and said in a low voice, "I have news from the future family patriarch. Please tell the patriarchs. They will see me." "Young clan leader?" The commander's eyes flashed and he asked, "Which clan's young patriarch is he? Our Lu family?" Mo-Yi nodded. The commander's expression changed instantly. He asked again, "Are you sure you have news about the young patriarch? This matter cannot be spoken of carelessly. If the elders blame us, neither you nor I will be able to bear the consequences." Mo-Yi nodded solemnly. The commander thought about it and said, "You guys wait here, I'll go report to the 8th elder." The commander of the Lu family flew into the city like a shooting star. Mo-Yi came back. Luli said nothing and waited in silence, expressionless. Time moved on. Luli didn't show any emotion on his face, but he was getting more nervous and excited. Whoosh! After the time for 3 incense sticks to burn, 2 people came from the distance. The one in the front was a white-haired old man who was at the human sovereign realm. He looked majestic from the distance. Soon, they arrived at the iron-armored ship. Mo-Yi flew out again. He knew the old man in front of him. He bowed and said, "Greetings, Patriarch 8. Patriarch 8 must have some impression of Mo-Yi." He nodded and looked at Luli and the others on the iron-armored ship. He first looked at Yu Huashan and Ming Yu and then Luli. Soon, he looked away. Then his eyes glowed. He looked at Luli again. His old-fashioned face was a bit surprised. After a while, he asked, "Who is this young man?" Mo-Yi said nothing. Luli cupped his fists and said, "I am Luli. Greetings, Patriarch 8. Luli? Your surname is Lu?" Patriarch 8's expressions changed again. He choked with sobs and asked with a trembling voice, "What is your relationship with Lu Renhuang?" Luli answered frankly, "He is my father." Boom! It was like a bolt from the blue. Patriarch 8, the leader of the Noble Lord Realm, and the 10 warriors of the Eternal Realm were all trembling. Patriarch 8 stared at Luli again and nodded. So similar, so similar, so similar. Patriarch 8 reacted quickly. He turned around and said in a deep voice, "If any of you dare to leak the information, I will kill you." With that said, Patriarch 8 flew over, grabbed Luli with one hand and said, "Let's go. I will show you to the Hall of Patriarchs. Patriarch 8 looked at Mo Yi and said, Bring them to the Dragon's Pavilion. Dragon's Pavilion? Mo Yi was overjoyed. This was the place where the Lu family received disciples of other big families. Not even disciples of 7th-rank families were qualified to stay here. Sending Lu Li back was a great achievement. Patriarch 8 took Lu Li and flew into the city. They were so fast that Lu Li couldn't even see the scenery down below. He only felt the wind was blowing. He could only look forward, but he saw a mountain in the city. The mountain was not too tall, but it stood out from the rest of the city. Looking from the distance, the mountain was covered with castles, rising and falling, layer by layer. It was like a huge pagoda with people living on every floor. That is where the Lu family lives, the Mystic Armor Mountain. Seeing that Lu Li kept staring at the mountain, Patriarch 8 explained, There are more than 300,000 people living on the mountain. They are all from the Lu family. More than 300,000. Lu Li was shocked. An average county would only have hundreds of thousands of people. The Lu family alone had hundreds of thousands of people, not to mention the disciples of the Lu family's collateral branches. Patriarch 8 was fast. He flew directly to the peak of the Mystic Armor City. The peak of the mountain was even more magnificent. There were castles and buildings everywhere, and ancient trees reaching up to the sky. There was even a man-made lake in the middle of the mountain. The scenery was beautiful, like a fairyland. Patriarch 8 brought Lu Li to the middle of a yard. In front of the yard was a majestic castle with 2 noble Lord Realm warriors guarding the gate. Go and get Second Patriarch and the others here. We have something important. Patriarch 8 shouted in a deep voice and led Lu Li into the castle. Lu Li was shocked again when he walked into the hall. The hall was so spacious that it could easily hold hundreds of people. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Soon, there came some noises as 8 people walked in. Some of them looked like middle-aged men, and some had white hair and beards like Patriarch 8. All of them were at the human sovereign realm. Lu Li looked at the 8 of them and noticed that they were all standing together. There wasn't a clear distinction between them. Also, Patriarch 8 didn't say to invite the family patriarch over. It meant that Lu Li's grandpa wasn't among the 8. Shouldn't Patriarch 8 inform his grandpa as soon as he came back? On the other hand, Lu Li felt something bad was about to happen to the Lu family. It had only been 10 years since the city was sealed. P.S. Recommend a new book about Xian Huan from a friend. Mysterious transcript of the Divine Wilderness Introduction. In ancient times, gods and devils fought against each other and heaven and earth fell apart. A young man of the human race had dragon bones and cultivated the body of a real dragon. He ventured into the divine wilderness and explored the tomb of the emperor. Heaven and earth changed because of him. Chapter 348. This is Second Patriarch Lu Fenghua, Third Patriarch Lu Liantian, Fourth Patriarch Lu Dixian, Fifth Patriarch Lu Tianming, 10th Patriarch Lu Tianhe. Patriarch 8 introduced them to Lu Li one by one. What surprised Lu Li was that Patriarch 2, Patriarch 3, and Patriarch 4 seemed to be younger. They seemed to be in their 40s or 50s, and their vital energy and qi were young as well. The others, on the other hand, seemed to be much older. After the introduction, Patriarch 8 pointed to Lu Li and said, "This is Lu Li." He said, "He is the son of Lu Renhuang." As soon as the patriarchs came in, their eyes glowed. Lu Li looked so much like Lu Renhuang. If Lu Li were a few years older, he would be more aggressive, more noble and domineering, then he would be a living Lu Renhuang. 3 patriarchs were excited, but second patriarch, Lu Fenghua, and third patriarch Lu Liantian frowned. They looked at each other and third patriarch Lu Liantian said, "Lu Li? You said you are the son of the human emperor. Do you have a token?" The other 2 patriarchs frowned as well. Lu Li's realm was too low. If he was Lu Renhuang's son, How could his realm be so low? Also, why are you only back now? No matter what, he had to prove Lu Li's identity first. Everything else could be discussed later. Keepsake. Lu Li was taken aback. Where could he get the token? If he had the token, he wouldn't have been hunted down by the Song family. Of course, the fact that he was Lu Renhuang's son was not a problem. Lu Renhuang believed that he would be able to explain himself. He thought for a moment and said, "When I was born, my father disappeared and didn't leave any keepsake. And there is a Lu clan's token, but it was taken away by my elder sister. My elder sister is now in Qing province." Lu Li's words were as good as saying nothing. There was no proof. The other patriarchs frowned. Patriarch 8 asked, "Lu Li, have you awakened the King Kong bloodline? If it awakens, then there won't be any problems." No, I didn't awaken the King Kong bloodline." Lu Li shook his head. If it weren't for the animal tooth pendant, he would have awakened the King Kong bloodline. The group of elders looked at each other, feeling a little suspicious. If he was Lu Renhuang's son, how could he not awaken the King Kong bloodline? Almost all the direct descendants of the Lu family could awaken, except for one or two who were extremely unlucky. If it were not for the fact that Lu Li looked like Lu Renhuang and that he was not wearing any disguise, he would have been thrown out. Third Elder Lu Lientian pondered for a moment before speaking again. "Then what proof do you have that you're the Emperor's son?" Lu Li was dumbfounded. He had thought that as soon as he got back to the Lu family, he could be reunited with his family. But now there was a huge problem. He could not prove that he was Lu Renhuang's son. Seeing that Lu Li was silent, Lu Lientian continued, "How about this? Whatever your father left you, as long as it was his, that was all that mattered. Or did he tell you the secrets of the Lu family? Things? Lu Renhuang only had one animal tooth pendant. Now, the animal tooth pendant had disappeared, as if it had become the silver dragon mark in his soul pond. As for the Lu family's secret, his sister didn't say anything, so how would he know? Seeing that Lu Li had nothing to offer and couldn't say anything, all the patriarchs grew cold. If Lu Li couldn't prove it, they would have no choice but to interrogate him as a fake. Right. Lu Li remembered something and said, "I know the War God album, but only the first section. My sister said it was left by my father." War God album? Patriarch 8 and the other patriarchs were relieved. Patriarch 8 said, "Read it from back to back." Lu Li thought about it and began to recite it. The first section of the War God album only had dozens of words. He had memorized them. He had been cultivating this method. He could recite the first section easily. Yes, it is the War God album. Patriarch 8 was relieved. The War God album was a method unique to the Lu family. Since Lu Li knew the War God album, there should be no problem. But it doesn't prove anything. Lu Fenghua, the second patriarch who had been silent, said, "You all know that there were 2 traitors in the Lu family dozens of years ago. What if the 2 traitors passed the section to someone else? What's more, Lu Li only knows the first section. There are 5 more." The other patriarchs nodded in agreement. They looked at Lu Li with scrutiny. It was as if they wanted to see Lu Li's soul and see if he was a real disciple of the Lu family or a spy sent by other families. Seeing that Patriarch 8 didn't say anything, Lu Li made up his mind and said, "Patriarchs, there is no doubt that I am the son of Lu Renhuang. Where is my grandpa? I want to see him. He should be able to tell if my identity is real or not." Patriarchs' expressions changed. A glint of coldness appeared in their eyes. Second Patriarch and Third Patriarch even had killing intent in their eyes. Patriarch 8 was about to say something when Second Patriarch Lu Fenghua said coldly, "Family Patriarch has been in closed-door cultivation for many years. If he doesn't come out, nobody can see him." Closed-door cultivation? Lu Li was surprised. Then he had some doubts. If he was in closed-door cultivation, why were they so shocked? Lu Li didn't say anything. He was confused. Why did he go back to the Lu family? To ask the powerful warriors of the Lu family to save Lu Renhuang from the ice abyss. He should tell them where Lu Renhuang was and ask the powerful warriors of the Lu family to go to the ice abyss to save Lu Renhuang so that his identity could be proven. However, somehow Luli felt uneasy. He felt that some patriarchs of the Lu family were nice to him, and some were hostile. Even though they didn't show it and everything seemed normal, Luli still felt uncomfortable. Therefore, he was wondering if he should tell them everything. If his grandpa were here, he would have nothing to worry about. The problem was that he couldn't see his grandpa. Seeing that Luli was silent, the patriarchs moved their lips as if they were discussing with each other. After a while, third patriarch Lulientian said, "Luli, you can tell us about your father. Tell us everything you know. We will be able to tell if you are telling the truth." "Yes." Patriarch 8 nodded and said, "Luli, go ahead. Tell us everything and we can be sure of your identity." Luli was still silent. Lulientian's words made him more alarmed. Lu Renhuang went to the northern desert and was being hunted by powerful warriors. For 20 years, nobody from the Lu family went to the northern desert to look for him. Now, his grandpa was in closed-door cultivation? Out of instinct, Luli was alarmed and resistant. He didn't dare to take the risk. "Tell us, Luli. How can we prove it if you don't say anything?" Patriarch 8 was getting impatient. "I don't know much." After some thoughts, Luli decided to withhold some information. He said, "My father and my mother disappeared when I was born. I don't know where they are. My sister was only 4 years old. She only told me that my father was Lu Renhuang and I was a disciple of the Lu family of the Central Plains. She told me to find a way to go back to the family. My sister might know more, but she has been taken to the Palace of Goddess at the Cyan Plains. How about you send someone to get my sister back? She must know a lot. Also, she has my father's token with her." The patriarchs were silent again. What Luli said was as good as nothing. They couldn't get any useful information from him. Naturally, they couldn't prove Luli's identity. "I have an idea." Chapter 349. The Blood Pond of God was famous. Not only the Lu family but also the 12 royal families. The Blood Pond of God was one of the powerful resources of the 12 royal families. Because of the Blood Pond of God, the families could cultivate powerful warriors quickly and maintain the prosperity of the families. Patriarch 8's suggestion was agreed by all the patriarchs. Only disciples of the families could absorb blood essence from the Blood Pond of God. This was recognized by all the families. Whether Luli was a disciple of the Lu family or not could be proven by entering the Blood Pond of God. After Patriarch 8's brief introduction, Luli agreed with pleasure. He was the son of Lu Renhuang. What was there to be afraid of? They walked out, but they didn't go far. They went out of the Hall of Patriarchs and entered a black castle. The castle had no windows and it was gloomy inside. Candles were lit everywhere. Creak, creak inside the castle, Lu Fenghua pressed on the wall. With a black glare, a gate appeared on the smooth wall. Lu Fenghua and the others walked in one by one. Luli followed Patriarch 8 into the stone gate. The Blood Pond of God was underground. After entering the stone gate, the passageway extended downwards. The passageway was spacious enough for more than 10 people to walk side by side. There were stone stairs that spiraled downward. They were fast, but it took them the time for 3 incense sticks to burn. According to his calculations, the Blood of God pool was already tens of thousands of meters underground. Finally they stopped. They stood in front of a huge black stone gate. Lu Fenghua activated a mechanism and entered a heavily guarded hall. The hall had a radius of more than 3,000 feet. It was spacious and brightly lit. Luli looked into the hall and saw a huge blood-red pond in front of him. The pond was built with some kind of dark red crystals. The length and width were more than 30 feet and the height was more than 6 feet. The dark red crystals were engraved with mysterious patterns and runes. They were glowing in a dark red glow. Luli took a closer look at the mysterious patterns. He could vaguely see some ghostly faces. The patterns seemed to have come together to form some glaring King Kong, giving people goosebumps and making them afraid to get closer. How come there is cold air? Suddenly, Luli felt a surge of cold air coming from the other side. He looked over and saw a closed stone door. The top of the stone gate was frozen. The cold air must be coming from inside the gate. Could this be another treasure land of the Lu clan? Luli looked away after a quick glance. There were several stone doors in the hall. They must be the special treasured lands of the Lu family. Let's go, Patriarch 8 said to Luli and walked over to the blood pond. Lu Fenghua and Lu Liantian were already waiting there. Luli followed them. He stood near the blood pond and took a look. His pupils contracted. The blood inside was dark red, and it was rippling slightly. There was a heart-palpitating energy coming from it. It felt like it was not blood, but poison. In the end, when the blood fluctuated, it strangely formed a glaring Vajra face. It looked especially ferocious. If this person jumped down, he would feel like he was going to be swallowed alive by this glaring Vajra. Luli, you can leave now. As long as you are a disciple of the Lu family, you will be fine. Patriarch 8 had a kind countenance, looking like a nice old man. The other patriarchs gathered around the blood pond and looked at Luli. Luli thought about it and took Little White out from his sleeve. Little White was still sleeping. Luli handed Little White to Patriarch 8 and walked over to the blood pond slowly. Patriarch 8 looked at Little White but didn't pay much attention. He thought it was just a pet. Seeing that Luli was about to jump into the blood pond, Patriarch 8 reminded him, "Luli, take off your clothes." Luli didn't take off his clothes because there was a dragon pattern on his back. He shook his head and jumped into the blood pond. Splash! The blood in the blood pond splashed around, but miraculously, it didn't spill out. The blood pond was more than 6 feet high. Luli sank into it as if he was swallowed by the glaring Vajra. All the patriarchs kept their eyes wide open to observe the blood pond, but none of them used their psychic power. The blood in the blood pond was the source of blood. Psychic power could not be used. Nothing. After the time for a few breaths, the blood pond gradually calmed down. The blood in the pond was rippling as well. It gathered back into the glaring Vajra face. Apart from that, nothing else happened. He really is an imposter. A glint of coldness rose in Lu Fenghua's eyes. Lu Liantian's hand glowed with Xian energy. He was ready to kill Luli. It was impossible that someone with the Lu family bloodline couldn't absorb some blood essence. There was no doubt that Luli was an imposter. Patriarch 8 frowned and said, "Let's wait a bit longer." The glow of Xian energy in Lu Liantian's hand dimmed down. The patriarchs waited patiently. Time passed by slowly, but there was still no movement from the blood pool. Many of the elders' faces sank. Luli, who was in the blood pond, sank down as well. He was covered in blood, but he didn't feel anything in the blood pond. Many thoughts flashed across his mind. Could it be that there was something wrong with the blood pond? Or was he not a disciple of the Lu family? After the time for half an incense stick to burn, nothing happened in the blood pond. Lu Fenghua and Lu Liantian finally lost their patience. Lu Liantian waved his hand and said, "Tianhe, get Luli out." This time, Patriarch 8 didn't object. Patriarch 10, Lu Tianhe, took out a whip from his interspatial ring and tried to pull Luli out. Buzzing, right at that moment, the silver dragon mark on Luli's back glowed and the dragon mark began to move around quickly. Then, the entire blood pond was stirred up. All the blood was tumbling around. Something is happening. Tianhe, stop. Patriarch 8 shouted in surprise. Patriarch 10 stopped for a moment and then took back his whip. All the patriarchs stared at the blood pond. They frowned when they saw the dark red blood tumbling around. Why did nothing happen when Luli went in? Why did it take so long for something to happen? Nothing like this had ever happened before. Gurgle, gurgle, the blood in the blood pond was tumbling like boiling water. Patriarch 8 was relieved. He put on a smile. Only disciples of the Lu family could absorb blood essence in the blood pond of God. Luli was absorbing blood essence, which meant that Luli was a disciple of the Lu family. As the blood surged, the color of the blood changed. The dark red blood was turning into a light red color. From the bottom of the blood pond came a muffled scream. Patriarch 8 shouted at once, "Luli, don't be afraid. You will feel some pain when you absorb the blood essence. That is the blood essence transforming your body and blood. It is beneficial to you. Hang on." Luli heard Patriarch 8's words. The scream died down a bit. Clearly, Luli was hanging on. Gurgle, gurgle, the blood pond was tumbling. The color of the blood was getting lighter and lighter. It had turned into a light red color, but the blood pond was still tumbling. The patriarchs looked at each other, speechless. Patriarch 8 and Patriarch 4 looked at each other in surprise. But none of the patriarchs said anything. They just kept staring at the blood pond. The time for 1 incense stick to burn, 2 incense sticks, 3 incense sticks. The color of the blood in the blood pond was getting lighter. The color of the blood was turning from light red to translucent. Luli could see it clearly from the bottom of the pond. What? The patriarchs were petrified. The blood pond of God had been established for 1,000,000 years. Even the most talented person could only absorb half of the blood essence in the pond. Luli had absorbed more than half, and he was still doing it. Chapter 350. Blood essence was good stuff. Every once in a while, many treasures would be thrown into the blood pond to produce some blood essence for the Lu family disciples to absorb. Those who were not disciples of the immediate Lu family and were not talented were not qualified to enter the blood pond. It was also because the blood essence was created from countless heavenly materials and earthly treasures that ordinary people could not absorb too much of it. The more talented and the more powerful the realm, the more blood essence could be absorbed. If a warrior of a low realm or not talented tried to absorb the blood essence by force, he would explode and die because his body could not contain the blood essence. He would also pass out from the excruciating pain. The patriarchs remembered clearly that when Lu Renhuang entered the blood pond for the first time, he only absorbed about half of the blood essence. Back then, Lu Renhuang was already at the eternal realm, and he was very talented. He was regarded as the most talented genius of the Central Plains in the past 100,000 years. Luli was only at the Soul Pond realm, but he had absorbed more than half of the blood essence. What was more, he did not pass out. Even though he seemed to be in pain and his muscles were trembling, he could bear it. What did it mean for a warrior of the Soul Pond realm to absorb so much blood essence? It meant that Luli was talented, 2 or 3 times more talented than Lu Renhuang. Everyone held their breaths, waiting for Luli to stop. But the blood in the blood pond was still tumbling. Many strands of blood gathered around Luli's body and were absorbed. As the blood in the blood pond became more and more transparent, everyone was speechless. To produce a pond of blood essence, it would cost at least 200 billion Xian crystals worth of elixirs. 200 billion was nothing for the Lu family. But many elixirs were priceless and hard to find. This time, Luli absorbed the blood essence of hundreds of disciples of the Lu clan in one go. When the liquid in the blood pond became transparent, Luli finally stopped. He stopped trembling and his expressions returned to normal. The group of elders looked at each other with complicated expressions on their faces. If it were an average disciple of the Lu family, they would be overjoyed. The more blood essence was absorbed, the more talented the person was. Luli was different. He was not sure if he was a disciple of the Lu family yet. At first, Luli didn't do anything when he entered the blood pond. After a while, he absorbed all the blood essence in the pond. This was so strange and abnormal. Something is not right. Lu Fenghua used psychic power to check Lu Li's body, and he noticed something was wrong. Previously, the blood essence in the pool had prevented his spiritual force from probing inside. Now that the blood essence had been absorbed, his spiritual force could probe inside. Lu Fenghua's psychic power was strong. He could easily sense the glowing silver dragon mark on Lu Li's back. They looked at Lu Fenghua and checked with psychic power. Then, they noticed the dragon pattern on Lu Li's back. The eyes of the group of people flickered, and their hearts were filled with bewilderment. This situation was too strange, and even they could not understand it. After a while, Lu Li opened his eyes. The dragon pattern on his back was no longer glowing or moving. There was no trace of pain on his face. Instead, he looked extremely satisfied. Patriarch 8 shouted, "Lu Li, come out now." Lu Li flew out from the water. Xian energy glowed and evaporated all the water in his body. Before Lu Li had time to check his body, Lu Fenghua shouted, "Lu Li, take off your shirt." "Take off my shirt?" Lu Li frowned. He noticed that many patriarchs were looking at him coldly and judging him. Lu Lientian seemed to be filled with killing intent. It was as if Lu Li didn't cooperate, he would kill Lu Li in one move. Patriarch 8 thought about it and said, "Lu Li, take it off." Lu Li thought about it. He unbuttoned his robe in silence and took off his shirt. He was only wearing a pair of long johns. The patriarchs went to his back at once and stared at the silver dragon pattern. The patriarchs looked at it carefully and used their psychic power to check. Patriarch 4, Lu Dixian, said, "It is not an evil thing. It seems to be some kind of special mark. If the mark on Lu Li's back gave them a trace of evil energy, they would kill Lu Li at once. When Lu Li was absorbing the blood essence, the dragon pattern would glow and move around." Lu Fenghua's nose twitched. He stared at Lu Li with his eagle-like eyes and asked, "Lu Li, what is the dragon pattern on your back?" Lu Li already had a plan. He casually explained, "This is a martial art I am cultivating, the dragon soul fighting body. This cultivation method can strengthen my physical body." Lu Fenghua and Lu Lientian clearly didn't believe him. Lu Lientian said, "Try it." Without any hesitation, Lu Li released the burning blood skill at once. The dragon pattern on his back glowed and moved around. His body was getting stronger. Every piece of his muscle swelled up, giving him a sense of strength. His eyes glowed in a silver light as well. He had transformed into a human-shaped dragon. The patriarchs were experienced and knowledgeable, so they didn't mind. There were some strange methods of body refinement at the central plains. Lu Li's body did become stronger. Lu Li's eyes glowed in a silver light and the dragon pattern moved around as well. However, they didn't sense any evil energy, which meant that Lu Li was not possessed by an evil being. That being said, nobody thought about bloodline skill because nobody in history had a bloodline mark on their back. Lu Li put his clothes back on, stopped the burning blood skill, and returned to normal. The patriarchs gathered together and moved their lips. Clearly, they were discussing Lu Li's situation through secret means. Lu Li looked calm, but he was nervous inside. He waited quietly for the result of the discussion. Lu Li could absorb the blood essence, which could prove that he was a disciple of the Lu family. The thing was, when Lu Li got into the blood pond, he didn't absorb the blood essence at first. Later on, he absorbed all the blood essence in the pond, and there was a strange dragon pattern on his back. This surprised the patriarchs. They couldn't tell if Lu Li was a disciple of the Lu family or not. Lu Li observed for a while. He couldn't hear what they were talking about, but he could get some information from their expressions. The 9 patriarchs seemed to be divided into 3 groups. Patriarch 8, Patriarch 4 and Patriarch 5 were nice to Lu Li, Patriarch 2, Patriarch 3 and Patriarch 10 were not. The other three patriarchs seemed to be neutral. They were neither nice nor mean to Luli. They would look at Luli every now and then as they discussed. Luli had to wait for the result of their discussion in silence. After the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, the discussion finally came to an end. Patriarch 8 walked over and said, "Luli, something strange happened in the blood pond just now, so we cannot tell your identity completely. Now we have reached a conclusion. We need to ask a great patriarch to come out from closed-door cultivation. That great patriarch specializes in soul cultivation. He will search your soul to determine your identity. Don't worry. The search will not do any harm to your soul." "Search my soul?" Luli's expressions changed. Wouldn't all his secrets be exposed once he searched his soul? His bloodline skill, animal tooth pendant, Little White, and the fact that Lu Renhuang was at the ice abyss were all exposed. Luli was just about to refuse when Patriarch 8 suddenly said something meaningful. "Luli, don't worry. Great Patriarch is absolutely loyal to the family and the family patriarch. If you really are a disciple of the Lu family, Great Patriarch will only help you and not harm you." Chapter 351. Absolutely loyal to the family and the family patriarch. Patriarch 8's words were meaningful, especially the last 2 words. Being loyal to the family patriarch meant they were on the same side. In other words, there were warriors of the Lu family that were not on the same side? Of the 9 patriarchs, 3 were hostile to Luli and the other 3 seemed to be neutral. Luli suddenly felt he had done the right thing by not telling Lu Renhuang everything rashly. Luli thought about it and decided to take a gamble. It seemed that Patriarch 8 was loyal to his grandpa. Of course, even if Luli was against it, it wouldn't make much difference. The Lu family could ask the great patriarch to come out and search his soul. Therefore, Luli nodded. Patriarch 8 gave Little White back to Luli. He looked at Lu Fenghua and the others and they walked out. They walked up the stone stairs and left the castle. They flew up directly. Patriarch 8 took Luli to the small lake in the middle of the Mystic Armor Mountain. They didn't fly too high. Luli saw many castles and buildings along the way. He also saw many Lu family warriors and many young masters and young ladies in fancy robes. Who is that? 9 patriarchs at the same time? What is going on? Who is the young man with Patriarch 8? Soon, people started to discuss. The Mystic Armor City had been sealed off for 10 years. Nothing big happened in the city. During the past 10 years, apart from offering sacrifices to the ancestors, it was rare to see so many patriarchs at the same time. Naturally, this attracted a lot of attention. They flew fast and arrived at the lake soon. Luli saw a white castle in the middle of the lake. The white castle seemed to be floating on the water. They flew directly to a plaza in front of the castle. Luli took a closer look after he landed. He was amazed to make sure that the castle was really floating on the water. The castle must be a treasure. The gate of the castle was closed. Lu Fenghua walked to the gate, cupped his fists and said, "Great Uncle 5, I have something important to ask of you." After Lu Fenghua finished his words, everyone stood on the side and waited in silence. Luli stood behind Lu Fenghua with respect. He had a question. The 9 patriarchs of the Lu family were all at the human sovereign realm. Great Patriarch was clearly 1 realm higher. What realm was he at? Luli was already confused. A 6th rank force had 3 warriors of the Noble Lord realm, and a 7th rank force had 3 human sovereign realm warriors. Then what realm should the warriors of an 8th rank force be? There are realms above the human emperor? He had forgotten to ask when he met Han Wuxin and Moyi, and he did not dare to ask. He just waited quietly. Squeak, squeak. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the door slowly opened, and a short old man walked out. What surprised Luli was that the old man's white hair was casually draped over his shoulders. It was so long that it reached the ground. What was more surprising was that his white eyebrows were so long that they touched the ground as well. The elder wore a black robe, and his white hair and eyebrows were exceptionally eye-catching. His appearance was too peculiar and left a deep impression on others. Moreover, the elder's face was very rosy, just like a youth. He truly had white hair and a youthful complexion. "Greetings, fifth granduncle." Lu Fenghua, Lu Liantian, the fourth elder, and the fifth elder all bowed in greeting. The rest of the elders followed suit. "Greetings, Grand Elder." Great Patriarch nodded and soon turned to Luli. Luli was embarrassed. He didn't know how to address the Great Patriarch, so he bowed as well and said, "Greetings, Great Patriarch." Fifth granduncle, Lu Fenghua pointed to Luli, trying to explain. However, Great Patriarch waved his hand and a glint of light rose in his eyes. Luli had just stood up and made eye contact with Great Patriarch. At that moment, Luli felt the entire world had disappeared. The only thing left in his world was the pair of eyes. He also saw a world in those eyes. He saw the vast void, and he saw the endless stars. Luli's eyes soon became confused and dull. Clearly, he was stunned by Great Patriarch. The others knew that Great Patriarch had begun to search his soul. They all held their breaths, waiting for the result. Luli's entire soul was sucked into that starry sky. He felt he was like a rootless duckweed floating in the void, never reaching the end. What Luli didn't know was that a strand of invisible energy had entered his mind from his eyes and then surged toward his soul pond. This Great Patriarch specialized in soul cultivation. He could even go into the soul of a warrior of the Eternal Realm or the Noble Lord Realm, let alone Luli, who was at the soul pond realm. That strand of invisible energy entered Luli's soul quickly and then surged toward his soul pond. As long as it was in his soul pond, it could search all of Luli's memories. Just like that demon, it could easily get the apparition skill from Luli's soul. However, this time, something unexpected happened. When the energy entered Luli's soul pond, the silver dragon mark in Luli's soul pond suddenly lit up. Then, the silver dragon moved around in Luli's soul pond quickly and expelled that strand of energy from Great Patriarch. Great Elder was surprised and squinted his eyes. Lu Fenghua and the others were surprised by Great Elder's reaction. They looked at each other, speechless. Luli, a warrior of the Soul Pond realm, could surprise Great Patriarch? What was going on? Great Patriarch said nothing. His eyes glowed and then he increased the amount of energy invading Luli's soul. This time, it was not just one strand of energy, but 10 strands. 10 strands of energy might be enough to destroy the soul pond of any warrior of the Noble Lord Realm. Great Patriarch didn't act rashly. He let the 10 strands of energy spread out and invaded Luli's soul pond from all sides. The result surprised Great Patriarch even more. That silver dragon mark seemed to have some kind of magic power. All the energy Great Patriarch sent in was expelled. Great Patriarch seemed to be angry. He controlled the 10 strands of energy to force into Luli's soul. With a boom, Luli's soul pond trembled. He fell to the ground and passed out. What made Great Patriarch speechless was that all 10 strands of energy were expelled from his body. He took back the energy, sighed and said, "I cannot search the young man's soul. There is a treasure in his soul. If I search his soul by force, his soul will vanish." The patriarchs were stunned. The Lu family's Great Patriarch, who ranked 13th on the warlord list of the Great Land and was famous for his soul cultivation, could not search the soul of a young man of the Soul Pond realm? This was the biggest joke in the world. If this matter was spread out, Luli's reputation would rise in the Central Plains and the world. What kind of treasure was in Luli's soul pond? What kind of treasure could stop the Grand Elder's investigation? Lu Fenghua and Lu Liantian almost wanted to dig Luli's head open to see what it was. The Great Elder pondered for a moment and said, "What is it exactly? Tell me in detail." The eighth elder pondered for a moment, then recounted everything that had happened, not leaving out a single detail. Great Patriarch waved his hand and said without thinking, "There is no need to doubt it. This young man is a disciple of the Lu family, since he can absorb the blood essence from the blood pond of God. Take him to rest now. His soul is damaged. When he recovers, bring him to me." Patriarch 8, Patriarch 4 and Patriarch 5 looked at each other with excitement. Great Patriarch was sure that Lu Li was Lu Renhuang's son. Chapter 352. Lu Li was brought back to the dragon's pavilion. He stayed in the same attic with Ming Yu and Yu Huashan. Mo Yi, on the other hand, didn't stay with them. He had his own room. Lu Li's soul was invaded by Great Patriarch. Even though he was driven out by the silver dragon in his soul pond, his soul was still hurt and he passed out. He slept for 2 days and 2 nights before he woke up. After waking up, he felt a headache from time to time. After he woke up, the eighth elder came over and fed him some soul-nourishing elixirs. Only then did he feel a little better. The real name of Patriarch 8 was Lu Yunshan. Theoretically speaking, he was of the same generation as Lu Li's grandpa, and he was even older than Lu Li's grandpa. His current position in the family was that of the head steward. He was in charge of all the small matters of the family. Currently, the eighth elder was in charge of the external affairs of the family. Lu Fenghua, Lu Liantian and fourth Patriarch Lu Dixian were from the same generation as Lu Li's father. The reason why the three could become patriarchs and be so powerful was that they were disciples of the immediate Lu family, cousins of Lu Renhuang. The rest of the elders were all born in the branch family, and their ages varied. The oldest, the seventh elder, was already more than 1,000 years old. Mo Yi had explained all of this to Lu Li after he had visited him. Lu Li thought about what he had seen and guessed. He felt the situation at the Lu family was complicated. The Lu family seemed to be divided into factions. In other words, the Lu family wasn't united, and there might even have been internal strife? Lu Li remembered that his father, Lu Renhuang, went to the northern desert and nobody went to the northern desert to look for him for 20 years. Lu Li felt uneasy. After so many hardships and journeying across mountains and rivers, Lu Li finally returned to the Lu family that he had been longing for day and night. But, when he returned to the Lu clan, he did not see the scene he had been expecting. There were no Lu clan disciples welcoming him back warmly. There were no clansmen hugging him with tears in their eyes. He did not see anyone close to him. On the contrary, his identity was being questioned and he was being questioned by the Lu family. Even Lu Fenghua and Lu Liantian wanted to kill him. Even though he did not have anything to prove his identity, he knew the chant of the War God album. He looked so much like Lu Renhuang. Also, he did not believe that anyone would have the guts to pretend to be a disciple of the Lu family. His grandfather was in seclusion? Even if he was in seclusion, the clan elders should have the authority to inform him, right? What if the mystic armor city was breached? Could it be that he couldn't inform his grandfather, and could only watch helplessly as the disciples of the Lu clan were killed? He was the only grandson of the Lu family's king. Also, Lu Renhuang had been missing for 20 years. Now that he was back, shouldn't he inform his grandpa at once? Moreover, it had been a day since he had woken up from his coma. Other than the eighth elder who had come once, Mo Yi had come once. No elders came to visit, and no clansmen came to visit. Patriarch 8 had said that Great Patriarch had confirmed Lu Renhuang's identity as a disciple of the Lu family. Then why was Lu Renhuang's son so unpopular? Lu Renhuang was the future family patriarch of the Lu family, the most talented genius of the Central Plains in 100,000 years. Everything was strange. There were too many questions. The patriarch's attitude towards him made Lu Li's burning heart turn cold. He actually did not have much affection for the Lu family. However, he had always been sure of one thing, and that was that this was his home, his root. There were many people here who shared the same blood as him. Luli sat on the bed all night thinking. He didn't fall asleep until the sun rose. It was late in the morning when Patriarch 8 came again. This time, there was one more person, Patriarch 4, Lu Dixian. They asked about Lu Li's injuries with concern. Lu Li said he was better, but it would take some time for him to recover completely. After some small talk, Lu Dixian said, Lu Li, the family has confirmed that you are a disciple of the Lu family. But some patriarchs are not sure that you are the son of Lu Renhuang. After all, you don't have any proof. So, we are here to ask you if you know where your father is. If you do, we will send someone to look for him at once. As long as your father is back, everything will be fine. Lu Li had thought about this for a long time last night. He shook his head almost without thinking and said, I have said it before. My parents went missing when I was born. I didn't even see my father. I don't have any news about him. If you can bring my sister back, I think she will know more. She has my father's token. Your sister? Lu Dixian frowned and asked, You said your sister is at the Cyan Plains? Is she your real sister? Yes. Lu Li nodded with certainty and said, She is my real sister. We share the same father and mother. She was taken away by the palace of Goddess at the Cyan Plains. She is of Fire Phoenix birth. They took her away by force. Fire Phoenix birth? Lu Dixian and Patriarch 8, Lu Yunshan, looked at each other. Lu Dixian was angry. He snorted and said, How dare the palace of Goddess? How dare they take away a disciple of the Lu family? Uncle Yunshan, how about I go there myself and destroy the palace of Goddess? No. Patriarch 8 shook his head and said, Our family has given the order to seal off the city. Nobody can go out unless they have the permission of the great patriarch. If you go out, you will be violating the family rules. Patriarch 8 thought about it and said, Isn't Mo Yi here? It is just a small palace of Goddess. Mo Yi can send a message to the palace of Blue Lions and bring some people there. Don't make too much noise. Just bring Lu Li's sister back. We can talk about it later. Lu Li's eyes glowed. The Palace of Blue Lions was a 7th-rank force with at least 3 human Sovereign Realm warriors. Mo Yi and the others could bring Lu Ling back easily. What was more, Mo Yi represented the Lu family. Unless the Palace of Goddess was tired of living, they wouldn't refuse. At once, Lu Li said with excitement, I will go with them. I want to bring my sister back in person. You? Patriarch 8 thought about it and said with a frown, I don't think you should go. Your wounds are not healed yet. You have absorbed so much blood essence. You must cultivate as soon as possible or it will be wasted. You are too weak. It will be useless even if you go. You can't teleport continuously, can you? Okay. Lu Li felt dizzy thinking about taking the teleportation formation. Also, it would take longer if he went. The wounds in his soul could not be cured in a day or two. Blood essence. He had forgotten about it. He asked after a pause, This is good for cultivation? I don't feel anything. Blood essence is hiding in every part of your body. You will feel the benefits when you cultivate. Not only will it be beneficial to your cultivation of profound strength, it will also be beneficial to the cultivation of your soul and physical body. Patriarch 8 explained and then added, later, I will have someone give you a book on soul cultivation. You take care of your wounds and cultivate for the next few days. We will talk about it after you have absorbed the blood essence and healed. Lu Dixian added, Yes, Lu Li, don't worry. We will send someone to bring your sister back. The Cyan Plains will not refuse a disciple of the Lu family. Also, what is your sister's name? Do you have a portrait? Lu Li told Lu Dixian about Lu Ling at once. Lu Dixian found an artist and asked Lu Li to draw a portrait of her. Lu also told Mo Yi that he gave Han Wuxin 20 billion Xian crystals, that the Han family helped him, and that the Song family was after him. Lu Dixian left to find Mo Yi to make arrangements. Patriarch 8 stayed behind and told Lu Li to focus on cultivation and not to worry about anything else. He would take care of it. Seeing that Patriarch 8 was about to leave, Lu Li asked, "Patriarch 8, is my grandpa really in closed-door cultivation?" Patriarch 8 paused. He turned around and said, "Lu Li, don't ask about this. Let's talk about it after we bring your sister back and find your father." "Then, can I see my aunt?" Lu Li asked one last question. "You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.